Yeah.
No, you know who I loved in Argentina were the defenders, actually. What was it? Molina, or Medina? Was it Medina or Lena?
Aren't they the ones that start punching everyone?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
toward the end,
Yeah.
but they were some amazing, that was
Very passionate speaker.
yes, I know. And I called my son and said, I'm so glad you play soccer over your battle.
I don't know.
It's just.
I was like, why is that? Why did
It's like, we have Peacock, so it was free on Peacock, but it was in Spanish. So I watched all these games in Spanish. So I had to really pay attention,
That's crazy.
They have the games in 4K on the pot. That's why. So it was really clear. I wanted to see it all.
Oh,
In the
yeah.
high resolution.
That's not, yeah, but I'm sad it's over. I'm just looking forward, like, who plays today?
Yeah,
Usually
it's sort of the
somebody
same,
else.
yeah.
So I do little side bets with,
Huh?
with,
I'm not a
my
soccer
brother-in-law.
fan. I'm not really. But I did watch that. I mean, it's so exciting. And, you know,
It's very
everybody was so into it.
I know,
We watched it.
yeah, it was really,
Then they had Wimbledon during it. So
yeah, I don't watch tennis.
I got a text from a friend of mine today.
I watched that. I
I
love
just
it.
got out of the water, swimming with Kate Middleton and her kids.
Oh.
Using Mystique, and I'm like.
That's
Here.
Yeah.
That's what I basically said. It's like. I like this guy. Musty, it's a little musty for this side of it.
I don't know. Yeah, so I really miss it. The World Cup's over.
Well, they come again
They'll come.
in a short 4 years.
They're short.
Times of the Masters. Those times of the Masters.
That's true. I haven't been. Have you guys been yet?
Not this
I'm going on the 9th.
Are you? Gotta go pick up my tickets.
year. I never heard of that.
Figured it out. I have to ask out. I think my boys usually inside.
Got my final inspection today.
Oh, excellent. So are you done or?
I still haven't.
We're just doing the backyard. Everything else. is done.
Right, what you say, happy hour at your place?
We should do that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, but the contract, the inspections, you know. Yeah, it did take a long time.
Who's your inspector? Guy,
Well, we had the senior guy did the final inspection. I forget his name.
John Hand?
Yeah, John.
John's great, yeah.
So we didn't have any, big problems. We did some redesign. If you wanted to get plans.
So-
Yeah, I mean, we started October. Takes time.
It's crazy. I built my whole addition, like, when did I start? 4 months.
The Chinese.
I was-
in Jerusalem, that built 4 roads and an overpass.
And, I didn't.
About 8 months. So
I think time is the biggest problem. But I mean, it didn't take that long. But they were dead. And it was because our contractors, like, when we were successful, there were times we had to wait for the stuff. And the stuff did awesome. Everything.
what you're doing with.
But we're happy now. Wish we.
Have a lot, you'll probably be hitting several questions tonight.
Very good. On what item from the start?
So you're, on,
Hello, sorry about that. Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Hello? Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm connected.
All right, we'll get started with the call to order. Sarah, can you please call the roll?
Board Member Coveney,
Here.
Board Member Gibbs,
Here.
Board Member Weil,
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Neve. Here. Chair Bauta.
Here. Louis, are there any members of the public with you?
No.
All right.
And perfect. And then Board Member Weil, if someone does show up, please alert us immediately. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Of course.
Thank you. We will continue with the Pledge of Allegiance. Debbie, you want to lead us off?
Sure. If everyone would stand and put your hand over your heart, repeat after or with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Debbie.
Welcome.
We will continue with the description of the meeting procedure. We will start the meeting with public communications, and that's where any member of the public can come up and speak on anything that's in the purview of the design review that's not on tonight's agenda. We will then go next to the consent calendar, where the board will review and approve and vote on previous meeting minutes. Then we will review any modifications to the agenda order. We will then proceed to the regular order of business. For the regular order of business, I will introduce an item, the address, the design review, or any entitlement numbers. The applicants will take their seats here in the front. The board members will then give their ex parte disclosures, which are communications that we've had with people prior to tonight's hearing regarding an agenda item. The staff will then present a summary presentation. We will then have a chance to ask any questions of the staff. I will then declare the public meeting open. The applicant will have 5 minutes to present their project. The members of the public that wish to speak will have 2 minutes to speak on the project after the initial 5 minutes. Depending on the number, never mind. The applicant will then have 2 minutes for a rebuttal. Once that's completed, the board will have the opportunity to ask questions of staff, the applicant, or members of the public. Once complete, I will close the public comment. Then the board will commence deliberation. During deliberations, any action is initiated by the board by a motion, a second, and a majority vote of the board. The applicant or any member of the public who lives within 300 feet of the project who disagrees with the decision of the board tonight will have 14 days from the decision tonight to file an appeal. So now we will start with public comment. Again, anything that is in the purview of DRB that is not on tonight's agenda, anyone wish to speak, please come up to the podium. Seeing none, we can move forward to the consent calendar.
There's nothing on.
It doesn't look like there's anything on the consent calendar, so we will move to the regular order of business. Starting with item 5.1, 2885 Roosevelt Terrace, Coastal Development Permit 26-1033. Variance 26-1030. Any members wish to speak pertaining to this item 5.1?
Dated to request for a continuance to an August 13, 2026 meeting.
Actually, Chair, I do want to make an amendment to the requested continuance date. I've had recent conversations with both the applicant's representative as well as a representative of an interested neighbor. And both of them have a conflict for the 13th, so they've requested that we push it to September 10th. Staff is also amenable to that request and would ask that that be the board's motion.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Bill. Any members of the public wish to speak pertaining to item number 5.1 on the continuance? Seeing none, we will Make a motion?
I'll make, go ahead, Deb.
I'll make a motion to continue this item to September 10th. This is 2885 Brownsville Terrace.
I'll second.
Sarah, please call the roll.
Board Member Coveney.
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs.
Yes.
Board Member Weil.
Yes, yes.
Chair Pro Tem Neve.
Yes.
Chair Bauta.
Yes. All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 5.2, 553 Lombardi, Design Review 2026-0788. Ex parte, please.
And Chair, I need to recuse myself for this one, so I will stay on mute and stay out of the chambers.
And then just for the record, Board Member Wild, that's based off of your proximity to your residence?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I met with the applicant team and I also met with Kathy Tanaka and visited the site.
Yes, as I did. I met with the applicant team and with Kathy Tanaka and knocked on the door of the neighbor on the other side, but just walked over there, didn't speak to anybody.
And I went by the site and met with Kathy.
I did the same and as well. Louis, ex parte? Or I'm sorry, you recuse yourself, disregard. All right, staff, will you present your summary presentation?
I would love to. We are working on getting sharing turned on, so if you give me just a moment. All right. Good evening, everybody. The item before you is Design Review 2026-0788 for the property located at 553 Lombardi Lane. The subject property is located on the south side of Lombardi with an established single-family residential neighborhood developed with two-story single-family residences. The applicant is requesting to approve or to construct a 126 square foot elevated uncovered deck with an exterior spiral staircase at the rear of the existing residence. The deck will be accessed from the existing primary bedroom through a new set of French doors, and the spiral staircase will connect to the rear patio below. No new habitable area is being created. Here you can see how the deck is attached at the rear, and the deck will measure approximately 15.5 feet wide by 8 feet deep and is elevated approximately 10 feet above the rear yard. During the public comment period, staff received 3 letters in total in opposition, all from the adjacent property at 557 Lombardi Lane, and we received 3 letters in support from other neighboring property owners. The concerns raised by the adjacent neighbor focused primarily on privacy, noise, view impacts, neighborhood character, and potential impacts to wildlife. We carefully evaluated these concerns, and the proposed deck is relatively modest in size and functions as an extension of the existing primary bedroom rather than creating new habitable space. We also considered the existing pattern of development in the neighborhood. There are nearby properties that also have an elevated deck and outdoor living area, and the surrounding topography and established vegetation create an existing overlooking relationship between properties. So based on those existing conditions, staff concluded that the proposal would not substantially alter the relationship between neighboring properties or create unreasonable privacy impacts beyond those already associated with hillside residential development. So overall, staff finds that the project complies with the applicable development standards and residential design review guidelines. Project maintains neighborhood compatibility, protects view equity, and appropriately balances the applicant's ability to improve the property with neighboring properties' reasonable expectations of privacy. And we find that the design review findings can be made. Therefore, we recommend that the design review board find the project exempt from CEQA pursuant to section 15301 and adopt resolution 2026-0788 approving design review. And that will conclude my presentation.
Thank you, Sammy. Do any members of the board have questions of staff? Seeing none, We will open for, the public comment is open. The applicant team, you have 5 minutes for a presentation.
All right, thank you so much, and thank you, Sammy. Good evening, members of the Design Review Board. I'd like to begin by thanking board members Gibbs and Neves for taking the time this week to meet with me on site. I always appreciate the opportunity to walk with you and see the project in person. Tonight, we are requesting approval to construct a 126 square foot uncovered deck and an exterior spiral staircase, the replacement of an existing upper level window with French doors to provide access to the new deck, and installing 2 decorative exterior light fixtures. These proposed improvements are modest in scale, with the open deck and spiral staircase designed to minimize the appearance of additional building mass while complementing the existing cottage-style architecture. And as Sammy noted in the staff report, the project is appropriately designed and is consistent with the city's residential design review guidelines. We have received 4 letters of support from neighboring property owners, including 557 Anita Street and 545 Lombardi Lane. We also received 1 letter of opposition from the property owner at 557 Lombardi Lane. The second letter of opposition was retracted. After receiving the concerns from 557 Lombardi Lane, I did reach out via email, texts, voicemails, and provided a complete set of the project plans. I also invited the neighbor on several occasions to meet on site so I could better understand and discuss the concerns firsthand. Unfortunately, though, we were unable to arrange a site meeting, but I considered the concerns that were raised. The primary concern was related to privacy. However, the proposed deck will not create any new views than those that already exist from the second level primary bedroom, which some of you saw for yourself. The new French doors provide access to the deck from a location where there's already existing windows that overlook the same surrounding area. Additionally, the deck has been designed with picket-style guardrails rather than glass railings, which helps maintain privacy. Concerns were also raised regarding views, but the proposed deck is intentionally modest in size and does not introduce significant new building mass that blocks views. Rather than constructing a larger second-story addition for more living space, which would have a much greater visual impact for the opposing neighbor, our project simply extends the existing living space with a deck. Questions were also raised regarding impact on wildlife and the environment. The project does not remove any existing vegetation. We're not disturbing the natural drainage corridor, so there's virtually no environmental impact. The deck is already located above an area that is already hardscaped, and there's no additional grading or disturbance of the natural environment being proposed. The spiral staircase also provides an important secondary means of access and egress, especially emergency egress, between the upper level and the rear yard, while maintaining a very limited footprint. Finally, it's important to recognize that this property is located within a neighborhood where elevated decks, balconies, and outdoor living spaces are very common. Nearby examples include the adjacent neighbor who's opposing the project, 557 Lombardi Lane, as well as decks and porches and balconies at 538, 540, and 546 Oak Street. So the proposed deck is consistent with this established neighborhood pattern while remaining reasonable in size. And so for these reasons, we respectfully request that the Design Review Board uphold the staff recommendation and approve the project as presented. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Katerina. Moving on to members of the public. If you wish to speak on item number 5.2, please come on up to the podium.
Does she have a copy?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. I don't know how it looks. Or, okay.
Please begin.
Well, thank you all for coming to my house. I really appreciate it. These views really don't show how it looks at my house, so you guys have pictures of that. Also, I do want to say that, yes, the architect reached out to me earlier when I had time, and she answered a few questions via email. But then she told me she was leaving the country and she doesn't have time to talk. And then when she reached out to me again, we just had a newborn baby in our family, and I was on call, and it was very stressful, and I couldn't get away. So that's why because I'm very, I answer my calls. But I'm just going to read this letter I wrote. We live in a neighborhood filled with historic beach cottages, all with private backyards and canyon views. The reason people live here is because they love the privacy, the peacefulness, and the beautiful natural setting. In our backyard, we have a secret garden with the sound of the water fountain, birds, lots of trees, plants, and flowers. We love to eat our family dinners in the privacy of our backyard. Next door, our neighbors proposed to build a huge living room-sized deck and spiral staircase in the middle of their yard overlooking our entire backyard, taking away all our privacy. We feel this violates Laguna City policy for the right to reasonable residential privacy. We are all inches from each other and need peace and privacy in our own backyards without someone's outdoor living room looking over us. Everyone in this neighborhood has a private backyard. Another concern is the added noise. Due to the elevation of this giant two-story deck, the way the canyon is situated causes noise to amplify and echo up and down the canyon, from phone calls to running up and down stairs, dogs, and patio parties. Since it's close to all our bedrooms, when people are up early or late at night, it wakes everyone up and you can hear everything. The loss of our ocean view and visual clutter are another concern. After furnishing with umbrellas and patio furniture, we won't be able to see the ocean, and the visible clutter will replace the beautiful blue sky, the clouds, the trees, the birds, and the ocean view that we see now. We believe this fails the city mandate for view equity. And I also want to mention, we have a small balcony. Our house was built in 1927, and it's only 36 inches wide and 46 inches wide. Also, we feel this deck will cause an environmental problem. We've created a place for butterflies, bees, birds, hummingbirds, and to have food and protection, and the canyon behind us is full of wildlife. Having a deck overlooking the whole yard with people in it will scare the wildlife away in this peaceful canyon. In this neighborhood, I want to mention the large scale, this elevated outdoor living space that takes up most of their backyard and hovers over ours, and the neighbor's yard is out of character.
In closing,
Okay, in closing, all the neighbors have private backyards. No neighbors have stairs. All neighbors' deck is done from the first floor of their house, and they overlook the canyon. They don't overlook neighbors' yards. No neighbors' decks overlook their neighbors' private yards.
thank you, Kathy. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, thank
It
you.
looks like another member of the public wishes to speak. Come on up. Yeah.
Well, do you want to just finish what I
You
was?
can continue. Yeah, you can continue his.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Or no, I'm sorry. He can continue your statement. Yeah.
So,
I just want to say quickly, we didn't know how big this deck was, but I mean, now that when we go in our backyard, this is huge deck. It's like going to a front row concert. So if you guys can imagine that, being in front load in front of a concert. So I just want you to be aware of that. It's a huge deck. Everybody in this whole canyon or Laguna Beach has small decks, and this is huge. So I just want to say that it's an invasion of our privacy, and the scale of the outdoor living is out of character in a historic Laguna Beach cottage. Like, So, and impeaches view and adds noise. And the environment impacts on disturbing nature and wildlife and greatly lowers the quality of life in our home. So I just want you guys to know that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do and thanks for, serving, because I know it's a lot of work. Appreciate
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Come on up.
Hey, all. My name's Tracy Lineback. I live at 557 Anita with my backyard on Lower Lombardy Lane, directly behind 557 Lombardy and one below 553 Lombardy. My husband and I, he's out of the country. We support this project. I'd like to point out that it is not a canyon. It is a natural water course that's behind between Oak Street and Lombardy Lane. We have lived in our home for almost 28 years, and the backside of our home is exposed to the street. We do not have a fence up. We have simple stairs going down into Lombardy Lane. We enjoy all of our neighbors and living in such on a quaint street. So I would be in support of the project. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Seeing none, we will return to the applicant team. You have 2 minutes for a rebuttal.
All right, thank you so much. To address Mrs. Tanaka's comments first about our communication too. The first time I reached out was April 15th, so almost 3 months ago, and I've continued to try to reach out to her.
Let's just stay on topic, guys. No need to get into specifics pertaining to communication. Let's just talk about
Got
the
it.
project.
All right. As far as to comment to review the ocean view from the second level, they do have a second story that overlooks our property. Like I mentioned, instead of us building a second story to enhance our living space, or for my client to enhance their living space, we're just doing a deck, which I think is much smaller massing than if we were to do a second level, which would impact their ocean view a lot more significantly, since they do look over the house right now. As far as the environmental impact, I mentioned that in my opening statement. And then as far as decks overlooking other neighbors' decks, their deck does overlook my client's deck in some ways. I'm not sure if you were able to have access to it when you stopped at their house. So that does, when we stand from my client's yard, you can look up at their deck. And then also, thinking about the view from our deck into their yard, there is a quite large shed in the way, and the further our deck goes out, there's more of a view kind of not seen into their yard because of the shed that's there. So we're not really, I don't think, on top of their property as they say we are.
Thank you, Katerina.
The only thing I would add.
Yeah.
The only thing I would add is that the view we're looking for is out towards the watershed and the ocean, which is not towards the neighbor. I mean, typically we're looking that way and over the yards to the ocean or to the canyon or watershed. Nobody's looking to look into the neighbor's yard. I don't want them looking in my yard. I understand us not looking into their yard. So that's really the views that you're really trying to get from something like this. And so it's not something we're looking to look into somebody's yard.
Okay, super. Thank you. Any questions of the applicant team from the board? I've got one question, Katerina, for if you go to sheet A 0.0, on the spiral stair, it looks like there's a 3-foot call out. Sammy, are you able to pull it up? All right. It looks like there's a spiral stair call out with a wood fence that's shown as to remain that encroaches on a 3-foot side yard. It looks like it encroaches on the 3-foot setback. A 0.0. I think Sammy's going to pull it up.
Sorry.
Yes, I have the plan in front of me. So of the 3 feet, yes. So the 3 feet is to the property line from our spiral staircase. So that wall does need to be removed. That
Okay,
you see there, the wood fence.
so the wood fence is planned to be removed as part of this
Yes,
application. All
so
right.
that you get the 3-foot fire access.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Okay, any other questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we will close the public comment and the board will enter into discussion. Anyone like to begin? Tom?
I will begin. Yeah, this is a minor addition. And I don't see any view equity issues, but I have some privacy concerns. So it's a close call in my mind, and I'll show you some photos why. It's a small deck, and I see why you want it. You know, it's a peekaboo view, beautiful watershed down below, which some people will call a canyon. So I would love to have a deck there as well. And there is a window in the master bedroom, which has a big shade on it that does look into the backyard. On the other hand, this is very tranquil, and I know Lombardi, it's a tranquil street, and particularly on that side. And people have their gardens, beautiful outdoor space. It's an outdoor space backyard neighborhood. And, you know, for even on the backside of Oak, and we've looked at a bunch of houses there, but particularly Lombardi is charming. And people there, understandably, with the houses being so small, value their private space. If this was an upstairs living room, kitchen, living area, I might feel different, but this is a balcony off a bedroom. And in my mind, it doesn't rise to the level of, you know, importance in the overall scheme of things in terms of size that a living room deck does. Moreover, you could put an umbrella there and other things which could impact the Tanaka's home. So in my mind, from their patio, their concerns are privacy and light and air. And it does impact those things. So I looked at other decks in the canyon. Do you have those photos you can show?
I'm sharing the first.
Okay,
one.
the first one shows the Tanaka's deck. And you can see it's a small deck, but it's at the back of the property. It doesn't go the full span of the property. And from the photos I looked at, it does not look, I could not see the backyard, and particularly the expansive backyard that you have. Beautiful backyard, by the way. I totally dig it. But you've got a nice big backyard. You got plenty of privacy, and that deck is not intrusive. Next picture. This is looking down, and you can see how the decks really are kind of built into the thing. But the second story deck there, which I assume is from a bedroom, is also a small deck that's out kind of away from the neighbor's house. So after considering all of this, this is where I come out. Spiral staircase is way too close to the property. I would not approve a spiral staircase. With respect to the deck, given it's a master bedroom deck, the dimensions of that deck are 15.5 feet wide by 8 feet. I would cut that in half. I don't have the 8 feet problem, but I would make it at most an 8 by 8 foot deck on the side of the bedroom away from the Tanakas. I think that would restore the privacy, give you a deck off your bedroom that you can enjoy, maybe have a little table there, enjoy coffee, and the view, it actually keeps the deck that's closest to and maximizes the view, and that gives you the beautiful view of the canyon. But at the same time preserves what I think are, you know, longstanding and important privacy and light and air for the Tanakas. So that's where I come out. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, and I said that view equity, I don't see a view equity issue. So those are my thoughts.
Thank you, Tom. MJ?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to go. Point counterpoint. I disagree with my beloved colleague. I think it's a modest expansion. I think the impact on privacy is minimal. Spiral staircase access is within the setback, so no issue there. Noise is not an issue. Everything's tight there. When you have noise, you tell your neighbor, "Hey, can you keep it down? I'm trying to sleep." And hopefully everybody takes it and is respectful. No environmental impact. If we have to come to some sort of an agreement here on privacy, if my other colleagues think there is some issue, perhaps there's a need for a 4x6 lattice on that side just to create a slight wall, since you're primarily going to be looking out and towards ocean as opposed to towards the Tanaka's house. So I can approve the project tonight as is, but we'll see what my other colleagues have to say.
Thank you, MJ. Debbie?
Yes, I think, this is such a special, special street. This, and the backyards in this entire area are just magical. And I know it really, truly is like the Magic Garden and Secret Gardens, all up and down, that whole water course. If this had been a bedroom addition, if there were no windows already there, looking down on the other neighbor, I might have a lot more consternation about this project. But I also believe that it's a very modest request. It's a bedroom. It's because of the downstairs patio area. Clearly, that's where any entertaining, dinner, that kind of stuff, clearly that is the space that's going to be utilized. When looking at the Tanaka's area as well and going into her backyard, I mean, she does have the shed, which gives a good buffer. And then their table is kind of, where they eat is kind of around the corner, kind of tucked in. So I don't believe, you'd have to really try to look down into their area, I think, from a privacy perspective. And if you look around that canyon, there are balconies all over the place. So I think that to deny this would be unreasonable, because I just don't think it's going to be used as much as when we see a balcony, we immediately think, oh my goodness, there's going to be parties and all this. But I just don't feel that it's going to be that kind of a deck. And I think it's a modest request. And I think the spiral staircase, I kind of struggled with that a little bit because it's a little bit unusual, but I think it's really just a good safety egress, and again, you're not going to be, flying up and down those stairs, because there's a lot easier way to get there. So, so I can approve your project as is this evening.
No Lewis on this one, yeah. So there is, when we look at these decks and we look at, actually, can we go back to that sheet 80.0? I think the spiral staircase may need to go. And I'll explain why. I was just looking at this sheet again. We've got this 3-foot offset to the property line, but then they're also calling for an existing building call out on this plan. Existing building on the note.
Yeah, that would be the Tanaka's shed. It's actually. on our
Yeah,
property.
so I'm seeing that the spiral encroaches quite a bit onto the adjacent property. I think it behooves this project to remove that spiral staircase. I think it's, from a privacy standpoint, but also it looks like accessibility challenge from existing conditions. Doesn't look like it was addressed, but I think even if you were to get the 3 feet, I don't think that resolves the challenge of the access for this area. I think it becomes a pinch point for access. That's kind of, you want to add something, Katerina?
I just wanted to respond to then how to resolve that, because that isn't our building. It's the neighbor's building on our property. So
Yeah, I think for our purview, the way we're looking at this, I think we're looking at it for the conditions that are there existing.
Okay.
So there is an existing spiral right now that you're proposing that we're addressing for the purposes of this hearing. And I think for the purposes of this project, I would like to see the spiral removed, but I'd love to get Debbie or MJ on board with that.
I have an opinion.
Yeah.
Chair, may I ask you, so you're saying that because of a nonconformity of the neighbor's non-permitted shed, that the homeowner in requesting to enhance their home is going to be limited to do so?
Yeah, because they're generally speaking, like the applicant is responsible for the conditions on their site. So they're the applicant, they're coming to us with the submission, and the submission, the way I see it, doesn't work with the spiral.
Because of your feeling it's unsafe?
Yeah, access wise,
Or
for access. The 3-foot side yard setback to
are
get
the people going
fire
up?
department back and forth.
Can fire department take a look at that access and make?
I think
make
it
an opinion?
warrants it in this case, I'd be happy to have someone else weigh in.
Is the 3-foot required by code?
Yes.
And so the question is whether in light of existing conditions, there is not 3 feet there as shown in this plan.
Yeah, it would have to have come to us with a variance request, I think, and we'd have to look at it, which I'm not prepared to approve.
Yeah, I think as a matter of public, of land use, you in determining whether there's a 3-foot access, you would look at the existing conditions.
Yeah. So I think for that reason, I think there's a project here that is approvable. I just don't think it comes with the spiral staircase. I'd be happy to hear from you. Yeah.
Sure. So how do I get their shed off of my property? Because that is really, I'm being denied because of
No, I don't
their
think,
being.
yeah, I don't think you're being denied. I
Well,
don't think
I
that
mean,
the spiral that you're proposing works for the condition on the site.
Because of it's encroaching on the building that is sitting 2 feet on my property.
As shown, it doesn't work.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Would there be an opportunity to put the spiral on the others, in another area there? Just in order to potentially,
We could put it in front of the deck. Aesthetically, I don't think that looks very good if we push the deck back a little bit. The reason we put the spiral staircase there as well is because it does help with privacy issues. Like even board member Neve said, we're not going to be spending time on, nobody spends time on the stairs. So any circulation would be on that side of the property. That way, and also as my client, Tom said, they're looking out at the ocean view the opposite way. So it just circulation way, it made sense to keep it
so
there.
if I may ask counsel, Patrick, what is the homeowner's, recourse here to be limited in their opportunity because of a neighbor's infraction?
Correct. So I would, start by going that this body should view the conditions as in the built out environment. I am not the applicant's attorney. However, there are legal mechanisms if someone is trespassing on your property, if someone has, encroached upon the property line onto yours. As I said before, I am not the applicant's attorney, so I can't give him formal legal advice on how to go about, rectifying that. But I would advise this board to look at the way the conditions are in the as-built environment. Obviously not in this instance, but if there was a more egregious, intrusion, if someone, had somehow built a shed halfway into someone's property, we would of course have to get that, fixed before we approved anything.
Thank you, Paris. So one other quick question, Chair, since you're pushing back on this one. Is this something that we could potentially, I don't know what the term is, if we table it or continue it in order to get fire approval on something like this? Because I have a feeling when fire gets back there, it's going to open up a whole mess of things, which is fine because we need to be aware of fire issues. I think it's an important thing to keep in mind, and your access is of concern. So perhaps we look at it that way.
Yeah, I'd be open to tabling it for a further review of fire. And maybe, if you're really pushing to get approval, I'd be open to hearing more comments from the applicant and seeing if, One second. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
The stairways moved. I think it needs to be restated. I'm sorry. If we're talking about moving the stairway, I think it needs to be restaked because it comes above the deck area, just to make sure. It actually could improve the privacy issue. It could make it worse.
Yeah.
But I would certainly like, I think we should see it. I think, given the sensitivity that Debbie mentioned, if it creates a problem there, I would like to see a stairway there from a safety standpoint. When I was at the site, the stairway, as I saw it, look, you going up the stairs, you could look right into the backyard. So if it was put at a different location, even though I'm not in favor of the project, as you all know, I would love to see the stairway moved.
Okay, the only other thing I would suggest is if you consider not doing the stairway right now and then coming back at some point, once you resolve this issue with the shed and considering adding it in at some point.
Can we have a moment to review the stairs?
Just before you, just one thing too, since you're going to be talking to your client too, if you were to, and I guess this is also a question for staff, kind of, if just looking at your plans, and I'm looking at sheet A2.0. So if you were to remove the side windows on your French doors and compressed the deck and then scooted it like further down on that sheet, closer so that you could tuck it in more. I don't know. I don't have the measurements on here, right? But would that alleviate the issue?
In other words, move the staircase in a little ways.
Right.
And
So
press the deck and.
Yeah, I think we're given enough clear guidance. We're not going to vote on this. tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So take a look at that.
I would tell you could get my vote if you could pull that, I wanted it halfway.
Yeah.
But if you could pull it in at least a couple of feet and then we can look at it, I think it could be a good neighborly thing to do. And in addition, pull back the stairway a little bit. I would encourage that and it could get my vote.
Yeah. What's the next available, Bill? Next available that you're
We
in?
still have a moment to review because we may take the stair out. I don't know.
Okay.
So can
Yeah.
we just have-
No problem. Yeah.
Thank you.
Good catch. I didn't see that. Mm-mm. Mhm.
Perfect.
Exactly.
We will remove the stairs.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Katerina. Tom, does that satisfy you, the removal of the spiral stair? Are you on board with the approval of the deck with the removal of the spiral stair? We got a majority here.
You need me for that. Yeah, I will vote yes to remove the stairs.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Does someone want to take a stab at the
Motion?
motion?
Yeah, I want to hear MJ do this.
MJ?
Am I stabbing into, who am I stabbing? Excuse me, I'm stabbing this one. Then I'm going to make a motion to approve item 5.2 at 553 Lombardi, design review 2026-0788, to construct a 126 square foot elevated deck without an exterior spiral staircase. We'll be removing the staircase from the existing plan.
I'll second that.
And finding said
I
action
said
category.
Thank you. Category exempt from CEQA
15301.
15301. Thank you.
Do you want
Second.
Sarah, call the roll, please?
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Neve?
Yes.
Chair Bauta?
Yes. Congratulations. All right, moving on to item 5.3 for the site address at 1590 Via Corsica. Design review 2026-1261, revocable encroachment permit 2026-1262, and variance 2026-1263. Ex parte, please. Will the
Here, I
applicant
spoke with
please come-
Matt Cuomo and visited the site. And I'm back, by the way.
Oh, good.
We figured you were since we heard you.
Yes, and I visited the site and with Matt Grummo.
As did I.
I did the same.
Where am I? We're on Via Corsica.
Via Corsica.
Oh, yes, went by the site. Hi.
And Chair, I might call for an expedited hearing as I didn't see any concerns from neighbors in the file.
I join.
Yeah, well, I
Agree with that.
I agree with that. Let's continue with staff. Sammy, will you do an expedited presentation, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Sorry, I'm just mentally turning the page. This is for design review 2026-1261, revocable encroachment permit 1262, and variance 1263 for 1590 Via Corsica. The applicant is requesting, in addition to remodel of an existing single-family residence, there will be a new upper level, elevated deck, garage expansion, spa, grading, landscaping, associated site improvements, all the fun stuff. And the revocable encroachment permit is for improvements within the public right-of-way, and the variance is associated with the existing non-conforming side yard setback at the garage. This shows the overall site plan. There's a 511 square foot addition, 384 square foot elevated deck, and we'll be eliminating one of the driveway curb cuts. Garage door will be reoriented toward Via Corsica. And here we can see the colored elevations showing the new upper level from the front. And the garage floor will be lowered by approximately 3 feet, allowing the new upper level above the garage to be also at a lower elevation, creating more of a split level as opposed to just adding a new upper level on top of the existing single-story structure. We are also exceeding building site coverage, going from 40.5% to 41.6%, but staff found that this allows for views and privacy to be maintained. And staff evaluated the project for neighborhood compatibility, view equity, privacy, and we found that all the design review criteria were met, and the REP improvements are also compatible with the existing streetscape, and the variance findings were also met for the garage wall to stay where it is and just be lowered down to the ground a little bit more. So staff is recommending approval of design review, REP, and variance with CEQA, with an exemption from CEQA pursuant to section 15301 and 15305. That's all.
Thank you, Sammy. Board, do you have any questions of staff? No questions of staff. We'll move to public comment as declared open. Any members of the public wish to speak? Oh, I'm sorry. The applicant, you have 5 minutes for a presentation. Please begin.
Thank you, Sammy.
Are we good? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, board, for considering our project. I'm Matt with Alder James Architects, a firm local here that I own with my wife, Emily. In the spirit of keeping things brief for the project, I think Sammy's summary was excellent. And so I'll kind of leave it at that, except to say there was a correspondence from a neighbor trusting us to take care of a tree view concern. And so through some back and forth, we did modify the tree and turned it into, I believe it was called a sunset cone, which is what's in the current plan. There was concerns about that perhaps being too tall. So we've submitted an alternate red gem to Sammy, and it didn't make it on the agenda. So the only thing I would ask is that we add that to the approval if you so grant it.
What's the name?
A red gem, which has a mature height of 4 feet.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think it was very well presented and appreciate your consideration. And if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Matt. Any members of the public wish to speak on item 5.3 at 1590 Via Corsica? Seeing none, we will return to the applicant. You have 2 minutes for a rebuttal if you wish to use it.
Well said.
Thank you. Board, do you have any questions of the applicant?
Just real quick, on the landscape plan, you're replacing the sunset cane,
Yeah, Sunset Cone, I think it was.
excuse me,
Yeah.
sunset cone with, I'm not a.
A red, yeah, neither.
With a red gem, and the red gem is maximum 4 feet high?
Correct.
Okay. And that would be the modification to the plan if we
To the-
approve the project? we would do
Correct,
it.
yes, correct.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Any other members of the board have questions? Debbie, MJ? Louis, do you have any questions?
No, I'm good.
All right.
And I
we
can
will-
proceed with comments.
The public comment is closed. Louis, proceed with comments.
Yeah, so I gotta compliment the architect team on this one, because when I saw the plans initially, I was like, oh, here we go again, off McKnight, another house working on an upper level addition. And then when I got to the site, I was like incredibly surprised that, they really used the topography well. They really used the low profile of the existing house to maintain their expansion. And really no view impacts over the roof, because there are definitely several homes behind this that are looking over this at the ocean. And typically when we see houses redesigned in this area, we get 4 or 5, 6 folks kind of griping at this. So my hat's off to the design team for really taking the design review guide to heart and coming forward with a really, really strong and attractive design that minimizes the impacts. I think from the lot coverage standpoint, staff hit it correctly, that by allowing that expansion, it really does minimize the impacts in the overall design. I also think that the lot coverage expanded is a common in this area, as I recall, historical projects. So it would be neighborhood compatible as well. As for me, the design integrity, the design, the concepts all work. The revocable encroachment, the variants are all appropriately laid out in the staff report. So I am fully supportive of the project this evening.
Thank you, Louis. Debbie?
Yes, and Louis, you took many of the words right out of my mouth. When I arrived, same thing. I can remember a couple of very controversial projects on that street. And when I said, oh no, 2 stories, I had very different expectations, and I was very pleasantly surprised. And I'd like to very publicly compliment staff. Sammy, this was a wonderful staff report, and I think that you really hit it out of the park. I think, your findings for the REP and the variance and the CDP were spot on. And I think that with that, and I understand regarding the red gem tree and the proposed tree, the other tree, the bushes and all of that. And so I think with that modification, it meets all of the design review criteria, definitely neighborhood compatible. And I think that you really thread the needle. So congratulations on the work that you've done to get here. And I can approve your project as is.
Thank you, Debbie. MJ?
I'll go. Thanks. Yeah, I concur with my colleagues. And as we say in the South, I don't want you getting the big head, but it's really pretty. And you did a great job in kind of this contemporary sort of a cottage vibe. So you really, picked a really nice materials, organic. It's really going to be lovely. So not to be redundant, the variances, as Debbie pointed out, are well established in the staff report, and I can support the project tonight.
Thank you.
Join my colleagues' comments. I think it's a beautiful project, and I think it fits really well within the neighborhood. I think choice of materials are great. It's totally neighborhood compatible, and I think it's a major enhancement to the neighborhood. And what I like to see in a project like this, particularly given McKnight and that whole area, is a project that's considerate of the neighbors. So you were able to develop and maximize the use of that lot with minimal impact. And then working with your neighbor on the trees is like further icing on the cake for me. I've reviewed the REP, can make all the findings. Again, I compliment the report. I think it lays out more than adequate grounds for the REP and the variance, so I can support the project.
Thank you, Tom. It sounds like we've got consensus here on this item. I think the project is well maintained and thoughtfully designed. I think the variance findings could be met. I think that the project maintains views, and I think this project can be approved tonight. Do I have a motion?
Here,
We
I'll
have
move
to
item
do
number.
that.
Oh, do you want to do it, Debbie?
No,
Go
go
for it.
ahead. Go ahead,
It's
Louis,
harder for being.
so that we know that you're there.
Okay,
Okay.
then I'll make my
Push
mark.
the button at the same time.
So on item number 5.3 at project location 1590 via Corsica, I move that the board adopts resolution 2026-1261, approving design review 2026-1261, revocable encroachment permit 2026-1262, and the variance request of 2026-1263, that the project is exempt pursuant CEQA guidelines 15301 and 15305, and that the following condition of the to the changes to the landscape plan be modified, that the sunset cone planting be replaced with the red gem and be noted at 4 feet in mature height.
I'll second that.
Sarah, call the roll, please.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Neve?
Yes.
Chair Bauta?
Yes. Congratulations. All right, moving on to item 5.4 at 1588 Skyline Drive. Design review 2026-1183 and variance 2026-1184. Applicant, thank you for joining us. Ex parte, please.
I met with Steve Cortani and visited the site.
I met with Steve and visited the site.
I met with David Bailey and visited the site and spoke to Mr. Cartani.
Yes, I visited the site and met with David Bailey and Steve Coratani.
I visited the site and met with Steve Coratani.
I think, suggest we do this
We do it expedited. Any objections? Okay, well, we will do this one expedited as well. Daniel Latham, you ready to go?
Sure. Would you like a presentation on your screen, or can I just speak to the project?
You can speak to the project, and if you don't mind, expedited. Thank you so much.
All right. So this project is an infill addition. It requires a variance because the existing home is built beyond this unique setback. It's a unique special subdivision setback of 27 feet. And so this new addition would be within the footprint of the existing home. And there are other additions towards the front of the home that are lower level addition, not necessarily subject to design review. There's also an elevated deck extension of 2 feet or so. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Do any
Excellent
members, do any members of the board have questions of staff? No questions. Public comment is declared open. Applicant, you have 5 minutes if you wish to use it.
Daniel, could you cue up my presentation, please?
Yes.
I'm Steve Coartani, and I'm sorry David Bailey's not here, so you get the second string, but I think I'll do okay. This project is rather modest, and you get to see some graphics because Daniel did display his. So if we look at the top, that blue area between the house and the garage is just to improve access. It's a modest 66-foot addition to the front. The green area is that 3-foot extension of the deck that Daniel just mentioned. And then there's a little yellow sliver at the bottom, and that's a portion of the deck that we are removing to improve the view inside the house. Next slide. So again, if we look at the left side, that's a lower level elevation. That area in blue is the new addition that we are proposing. On the right side, that blue area again is the corridor to the garage. The green is the deck extension, and the yellow is the portion of the deck we're removing. Next slide. So this slide's important, and if we focus on the left side, that little blue rectangle is what is creating the variance. There's not a whole lot there. Next slide. So why did staff support the variance? First of all, as Daniel mentioned, there is a unusual 27-foot special subdivision side yard setback, and it's creating a hardship for us to develop the project. I do want to note that the residence was approved, and it predates that special subdivision setback. And we believe that the proposal preserves a reasonable property right, and the house still retains its neighborhood character. So with that, I look forward to your approval this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Members of the public that wish to speak on item 5.4, please come up to the podium. Any members of the public wish to speak on item? Come on up.
Hello, good evening. Charles Hessler. I'm just wondering if you could give any consideration for the foot traffic on Atlantic Way as they make their way to from the cul-de-sac at the top of Skyline Drive.
I'm sorry, can you repeat yourself?
Oh, as per foot traffic, is there any way they can give consideration to is there any walkway on Atlantic Drive as they make their way from the top of Skyline Drive and Atlantic Way? Because there's, as per foot traffic here, for example, if you want any of the kids to have safe passage, there's consideration to on the easement, public easement, that there be some way to have some safe foot traffic.
Are you saying a sidewalk, sir?
Sidewalk, correct.
I think he wants
Okay.
a sidewalk along there. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak on item 5.4? Seeing none, we'll return to the applicant team. Steve, you've got 2 minutes for a rebuttal.
I have no other comments.
No other comments? Okay. Do any members of the board have questions of the applicant? MJ?
Maybe Louis, he's the sidewalk champion, but is that something that we need to look at in this? I don't know if it falls within the reality of this particular application.
Yeah, we can get into deliberations about it, but I don't think we can require a sidewalk here. You know, there's been, no requirement for this particular development to do that. There's no clear right of way to do that. All we're dealing with is a 27-foot setback for a variance. So it's really not, I don't think it's an appropriate condition. I don't know that we legally could do it, but again, I'm not the lawyer here, but
Yeah.
although I am a lawyer, but yeah.
Okay, we'll deem public comment is closed and the board could enter into deliberations. Who wants to go first?
I'll
Debbie?
go ahead and go first. So I think that this is a very modest request. I think it just improves access as we've got kind of checked all those boxes. And I think that the variance, because this truly is a very unique setback situation and with this housing track. So I can absolutely approve this project as is and the variance. Regarding the sidewalk, I know I used to drop my boys off because that was the back door to Thurston. And I wish we could, but I don't think that we can address any sidewalk issues. But I know what you were saying. So
Louis, you want to jump in?
I'm looking at it now. I don't know if staff can, I think the hard part is the development has the sidewalks end on both sides. So at the same point, I think it's relatively consistent with the way that the single stack of most of this neighborhood's been developed, where sidewalks are on one side of the street. I just don't think it's like other board members said, it's not consistent, but there is a sidewalk obviously from, Atlantic going up towards Thurston into the cul-de-sac. So yeah, I just don't think it meets the pattern of development on that concept, nor do I believe that the scope of the project creates a nexus for that, that kind of right-of-way improvement. I think if the city wanted to deem some of it, I think there's property lines that are behind the city, that comment could be addressed more to the city. As sidewalks have been improved in other areas of town, but I think that's beyond the scope for tonight's discussion. Are we doing comments as well, or is that?
Yeah, comments and deliberation, yeah.
Okay, so let me, I'll just hand that one out. As for the project, you know, just like the last one, I find this one just to be very modest in scale. It meets the design review criteria. The variance is just because these, you know, kind of corner lots, as you want to call it, or these wraparound lots create kind of some funky setback rules. And I think it would, you know, it would drastically reduce the right of enjoyment for this applicant if these areas weren't able to be developed in similar fashion to the neighboring properties. So from that standpoint, I'm good with it. And the variance, I don't know what else to say. There's no view issues. The project's neighborhood compatible. So I'm supportive of it.
Thank you, Louis. Tom?
All right. I agree with the colleague. Modest project, totally appropriate for the site. With respect to the sidewalk, I don't see any basis to impose that condition here. You know, it's not a major construction. There's no evidence that is a pattern of development required for lots. So I think it would be inappropriate, and haven't examined the legal side, but I don't think I need to come to that conclusion. With respect to the variance, I think that to deny this project, given a 27-foot variance due to the special circumstances of this lot, would deprive this owner of the benefits that other owners in the neighborhood. So I think that the findings can be made for the variance, and I support the project.
Okay.
MJ?
Great. I concur with what my colleagues have said here. Modest addition, simple enhancements. I support the staff's findings for the variance. I could support the project tonight.
Thank you, MJ. I too agree with fellow board members. I think this project meets the design review guideline criteria, and I can also approve this project tonight. Do we have a motion? Go for it, Tom.
I move that the board adopt Resolution 2026-1183, approving design review 2026-1183 and variance 2026-1184 for additions, elevated deck expansion, windows and doors, and new chimney for the property located at 1588 Skyline Drive, and find said action categorically exempt under CEQA 15301 and 15305.
I'll second.
Sarah?
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes, sorry, the button didn't work.
Chair Pro Tem Neve?
Yes.
Chair Bauta?
Yes. Congratulations.
Thank you, board.
All right. Moving on to continue with our regular order of business, moving on to item number 5.5. For the site address located at 30722 Driftwood Drive, design review 2026-1194, coastal development permit 2026-1196, variance 2026-1194, and revocable encroachment permit 1302. Ex parte, please.
That was Steve Cortani, I believe it was the owner, and walked the site.
I met with Steve Cortani and the owner and walked the site.
I did as well. Thank you.
And I did as well.
I did the same. Moving on to staff, Daniel, will you please present your presentation?
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
So for this project at 30722 Driftwood Drive, it involves 4 entitlements, one being design review, a coastal development permit, variance, and revocable encroachment permit. The project site is located in South Laguna, and it is adjacent to open space here. It has an existing single-family home, and the project proposes to demo 70% of the exterior walls and propose doubling the square footage to approximately over 3,000 square feet to 3,380 square feet. In addition to all the additions, there's also a new elevated deck proposed, as well as new window and door openings, a landscape, hardscape, and retaining walls are proposed. Grading is required for the new subterranean garage, and the pool is being remodeled. A new spa is being placed within the existing footprint of the pool, as well as a Baja step. And the variance is requested to maintain the side yard setback encroachment on the south side there. It's approximately 4 feet encroachment. And here are some colored elevations of the project. The revocable encroachment permit is for hardscaping, specifically the pedestrian access path, as well as irrigation within the right-of-way between the improved street and the private property line. And here's zooming in on that variance area. So this area is living space on the upper and lower levels, as well as a fireplace. Staff believes the project complies with the design review guidelines. It complies with the development standards except for the non-conforming side yard setback. The staff is not supporting the variance tonight because this is a major remodel where 70% of the exterior walls are to be demoed and the floor area is to almost be doubled. The property size, shape, and topography allows for the potential to put these additions and maintain the proposed square footage on the site and be consistent with the new requirements, whereas this project was constructed under county jurisdiction and these new setbacks were implemented when this was annexed by the city. And a letter was received from the adjacent neighbor to the north in support of the project. So it's staff's recommendation to continue the project to a date certain with direction to redesign the project to comply with the required side yard setback. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Daniel. Do any members of the board have questions of staff? Okay, we will move to the applicant team. You have 5 minutes for a presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening again. And Daniel, thanks for an almost immaculate report. Little shortcoming to it. This is a good project, and I believe it deserves your approval. It's a thoughtful remodel. Well, can I get my slide up even after that remark? Thanks. And basically, it was designed to increase setbacks wherever possible and retain only a portion of an existing non-conforming side yard. Next slide. Thank you. So this project is a remodel and an addition to an existing residence. The variance request has very little to do with trying to keep extra square footage. We're trying to preserve a house. We have significantly increased the left side yard setback, and the new addition on the right side will actually have a conforming setback as well. The garage is relocated beneath the residence and was designed to enhance a neighboring property's view corridor. Overall, the proposal adds new living area without expanding the existing non-conforming footprint towards either property. Next slide. These next two slides are important. That first slide showing red is what we are proposing to demolish. Next slide. The green depicts what we're trying to save. And so we're trying to preserve an existing structural portion of the house and avoid unnecessary demolition. Next slide. This house is neighborhood compatible. And as we'll see on the next slide, there are several homes. Next slide, please. There are several homes that have living area over garages. Next slide. And there are many homes that have downsloping driveways. Next slide. This exhibit probably best illustrates why the existing variance or the requested variance is reasonable. So that area in red is the existing footprint of the home. The area in blue is what we are proposing to add to the home. That area in green is actually where the variance is occurring. And so it's a very small portion, 3 foot 8 inches. And we believe that it's justified. Next slide. The reason why we believe that the board should approve the variance and that you can make the 4 legal findings follows. The existing non-conforming setback is created by an unusual wedge-shaped property. Number 2, similar variances have been approved in the general vicinity. 3, the retention of the existing building does not create a new non-conforming condition. 4, the proposed design complies with all applicable fire department and building access requirements. Removing the right side of the existing structure would eliminate the property's primary ocean views. Next, this project is a post and beam construction. If you take out one of the posts, it's going to be very difficult and costly. And I know the board doesn't consider costs, but it will be difficult to justify keeping the structure. It's going to turn into a scrape, which is exactly what we want to avoid. We believe that remodeling and expanding the existing structure is more environmentally responsible than demolishing the residence and constructing an entirely new home. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. We will now open up to members of the public that wish to speak on item number 5.5 at 30722. Please come up to the podium if you wish to speak. Seeing no members of the public that wish to speak, we'll return to the applicant. You have 2 minutes for a rebuttal.
Thank you, Chair. The unnamed owner is actually here, and his name is Marcus Imhoff, and he wanted to make a few remarks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, can you hear me? Good evening, board members. Thank you for meeting the other day. It was nice to meet you all. I just kind of wanted to reiterate kind of what Steve said. We are the owners of the property. We are also the architects, and we are also potentially the builders. This project, our architectural ethos, our philosophy is to try and save as much as we can and to be as green as we can. And that's been our philosophy, mine and my partner Lindsay's, for all of our years together. And so if you look at this project, I don't know if we can go back to one of the slides or not, but if you, on that slide that showed the existing building footprint, what we propose and the variance, it's almost getting rid of that whole wall. It's that entire wall minus like 2 feet, the chimney wall, the stack wall. That is just kind of not at all what was our design intention. And like what Steve said, it's our ethos that we keep an existing structure and we don't just demolish it and scrape it entirely. thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Marcus. Do any members of the board have questions of the applicant? Seeing none, we will close the public comment and continue into discussion and deliberation. Who wants to begin? I'll give it a try. I think there is a lot, pertaining to the variance. I think that, I've been very consistent with trying to preserve where we can. If there's an existing nonconformity in the case of this project, the nonconformity is I'll start like the variance findings can be made. I think the side yard setback is large enough. I think it's an existing condition that we're, entering into during the redesign. I think preserving that portion of the home doesn't impact any neighbors, as is evident, but there's no public comment here today. So I'll start with the variance and then work my way back toward the design. I think the design is thoughtful. I think the applicant team went above and beyond to get comments addressed by the neighbor to the rear of them, or I should say to the side of them, pertaining to view equity. I don't see this as being an overly towering project. I think it's a nice, thoughtful addition, and I can approve this project tonight.
Mind if I go second?
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, let me talk about the variance. This is a tough issue that we're going to be getting in the future, where you have a major remodel and we're supposed to treat it as new construction, whereas where it is a strong desire for a lot of different reasons and not just cost to keep part of the structure. And it makes all the sense in the world. But the variance statute says in that instance that the general rule is that you comply with current zoning code, and that's a smart rule. But the variance permits us to evaluate exceptions, but the exceptions cannot consume the rule. And I think in this kind of situation where it's a really great design, I'm not going to go through the design, but where it doesn't impact, where it makes all the sense in the world, that if we can, we find that we can make the findings. And we've done that on projects. We've actually sent it back to get more facts, because in the right kind of project, we should, if it can at all be done, make the findings. Okay. The two difficult ones, and by the way, so I let the rabbit, I think you can in this case, so I'm going to support the project, but it was a close one for me. Finding one requires that there are special circumstances applicable to the property involved, including zoning ordinance, including size, shape, topography, location, surroundings, and so forth. That would deprive the property owner of privileges enjoyed by others. And where I see that is, I'm not so much convinced about the shape of the lot as I am about the right to build a compatible home. I think that given the nature of the construction, you should be able to build a compatible home given what you're facing with the setback requirement. And I think that's the special circumstance that gives rise to being able to make that finding. And I can understand why staff didn't feel you made that finding, but I really feel that it's a very minor 3 feet, 8 inches, very small amount that enables you to build a home that's properly oriented and is totally neighborhood compatible. So for that reason, in this special case, I find special circumstances. The finding 2, which I think is a similar basis, which is finding 2 is such variance is necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial right of the applicant. again, it's a right to be able to build in the best way feasible for that property, and not just cost, but outlook toward the ocean, orientation for the design of the house, to build that neighborhood compatible house. So I think to deny the variance here would deny this applicant that right. Again, it's a close case, but for those reasons, I think that we can make the findings, and I would support the project.
I'll go next. And very well articulated. I think that, and I do agree. I think that we certainly take variances very seriously, but I think that you're not adding anything to it. It's, 5.5 feet, and again, 5.5 feet. So you're not enhancing the situation. So I think that for all the reasons that Board Member Gibbs mentioned, I can support your variance. And I think that with regard to the design and neighborhood compatibility and all of the design review criteria, I think it certainly meets and checks all of those boxes, and I can support your project. Also, I think another consideration too is certainly that the construction under the county, I think, is a clear issue, even though you are, even though this does push into a major remodel. I think the way you explain, certainly trying to maintain and keep as much of your original structure as you like, and not just scraping it. I think that that is thoughtful from an environmental perspective, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Let me go.
Jay?
Yeah, I concur with Board Members Gibbs and Neves. Thank you for how you both laid that out. It was very clear about the variance and making sort of an exception here with the intrusion. So I think that because it was there and because it has no impact on your neighbors, no impact on access, safety, that it's an easily approved variance this time for you to have the home that you want and maintain that post and beam, which I think is really exceptional. So I understand why you'd want to do that. So I can support the project tonight.
Thank you, MJ. Lewis?
Have anything else to add? You guys kind of hit it all on all cylinders. So thank you, board members and chair for laying it all out. I do agree with Gibbs' analysis. Really, for the variance exception, it really is the topography, the location. That this is the last row in the incline of houses in this development. The fire safety components are still well intact. Usually with major remodels, I'm a lot more leaning towards the moving projects toward conformity. But in this case, I think it does preserve elements of the characteristics of the neighborhood, the historical components of the house. It doesn't create any more impacts, so it is acceptable. And I do concur with the rest of staff's analysis in this, or I disagree with some of the staff analysis. So I am supportive of the variance and the project this evening.
Okay, Chair, we're going to have to get a resolution to come back. And let me just give a comment about that. In preparing the resolution, the focus I would request that the staff do in the resolution is the focus on the language special circumstances applicable, including. And the special circumstances, I think, have been articulated by the board. Not just by me. I told you what I thought were the special circumstances, but it includes what Lewis said and what Emir said. I think also the board members Neve and Coveney. But I think the focus should be on the small nature of the intrusion into the setback, the fact that it's an existing structure, the fact that it's neighborhood compatible, and I would throw in the topography, the shape of the lot, and in my mind, those are the key factors. And then with respect to finding two, I just don't want to create a precedent here, because this is such a unique piece of property and such a unique application. It should be because of those circumstances. And the finding two is the same thing. It's the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial right, which is to develop a project that is neighbor compatible and has all these other benefits.
Tom, do you want to make the motion?
It's not a motion. They're going to come back with a resolution. So I don't think we have a motion.
We have a motion to direct staff to come back with the resolution. But I do want to add one more comment as I kind of fell short in my own thought. I think, even though I disagree with some of the staff's analysis, I think staff's analysis is spot on. It is more congruent with the code. And that's why we have the board, is to determine these special circumstances. So I do appreciate staff efforts, even though I don't agree with those components. But I think staff did it correctly. I move the item. With that said, I'll move item number 5.5 at project location 30722 Driftwood, to direct staff to come back with an approval resolution and modify some of the staff report findings in conjunction with the board's comments, and that we bring this back to a date as soon as possible.
Yeah, preferably the next hearing, and do it on the consent calendar.
August 13th.
August 13th.
August 13th. So that'll complete my motion.
A second. Sarah, call the roll.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yeah.
Chair Pro Tem Neve?
Yes.
Chair Bauta?
Yes. Congratulations. Do we want to take a break? We're going to take a 5-minute break here. And we will return at 6:40. 40. We will continue with the design review board meeting after this hydration break. We'll continue with item 5.6, 661 Nias Place, design review 2026-0759, variance 2026-0760, and coastal development permit 2026-0761. Ex parte, please.
Chair, I visited the site with Ellie, and I cannot pronounce the last name, but one of Jim Conrad's associates. And I also met with the Treg Smith at 651 Nice Place, Andrew Kai, and Dr. Maxine Griff.
And I did as well. Same thing.
I did the same.
I think I did all the same. If you said Maxine, Kai, and like
Louis, ex parte.
Same as MJ.
Yeah.
All right, that sounds great. Shavita, are you prepared for a presentation?
Yeah.
And you begin. Thank
Good
you so
evening,
much.
Chair and members of the board. Item 5.7 is a design review, coastal development permit and variance application for a single-family residence located at 661 Nice Place. As you can see from the aerial, the project is located on the western side of Nice Place and surrounded by single-family residential development on all sides. The project scope involves a remodel and expansion to add to an existing two-story single-family residence. The project includes approximately 936 square feet of elevated decks, as well as a new attached accessory dwelling unit. Site improvements include additions that exceed height above 15 feet above adjacent grade, exterior facade modifications, including a change in materials and roof line. Oh. I'm sorry, it appears the slides on my screen are different than what is being shown. Okay. The previous slide. Okay. Additional improvements include retaining walls, landscape, hardscape, mechanical equipment, and lighting improvements. A variance is requested to maintain the existing non-conforming front yard setback as well as height above curb elevation. A coastal development permit is required for the attached accessory dwelling unit. Next slide. The site is characterized by steep topography of approximately 36%. The existing residence is within the front yard setback as the property slopes significantly downwards from the front property line and has been constructed prior to the existing zoning standard. As such, the design is compliant with all height and setback standards with the exception of the front yard setback, which is existing non-conforming. Next slide. The residence incorporates high-quality architectural elements and design details, including light-colored stucco walls, a flat dark brown standing seam metal roof, dark metal-clad eaves. The design also incorporates a variety of articulation features, including horizontal offsets, varied wall planes, and massing elements. However, the street-facing elevation incorporates vertical and horizontal design elements, but still maintains a boxy appearance. The design review board should consider whether the proposed articulation is sufficient to reduce the perceived bulk and achieve an appropriate level of visual interest along the street elevation. Overall, the project achieves a balanced approach to the development of the site, maintains view equity, and contributes positively to the visual and architectural character of the area. The project includes a variance to maintain and expand the non-conforming front yard setback as well as height above curb elevation, which is a maximum of 15 feet. The existing residence is 20 feet 5 inches above that maximum curb height and is proposed to maintain that maximum 20 feet 5 inches. Additionally, the front yard setback encroaches 4 feet 11 inches into the front yard setback and would maintain that existing encroachment. The yellow highlights that the volume of that encroachment would expand, and so it would require an additional variance. Previous DRBs have approved a variance for the existing nonconformities as part of remodels in 1991 and 2001. Next slide. Since publication of the report, staff has received comments from neighbors expressing concerns regarding privacy due to the proposed deck and loss of views from the proposed addition. The board should consider whether these concerns affect the project's ability to satisfy the required design review criteria. Next slide. The proposed project is appropriately scaled for the lot and neighborhood and is consistent with the city's general plan, certified local coastal program, design guidelines, and the municipal code, with exception of the variances requested for the existing non-conforming front yard setback and height above curb elevation. Staff has reviewed the variance request and can support the required findings to support maintaining and expansion of those nonconformities. Next slide. Staff has analyzed the project and finds the facts necessary to support the approval can be made for the requested entitlements. Therefore, staff recommends that the Design Review Board adopt Resolution 2026-0759, finding the project exempt from CEQA pursuant to Sections 15301, 15303, and 15305, and approve Design Review 2026-0759, Variance 2026-0760, and Coastal Development Permit 2026-0761. That concludes my presentation. I'm available for questions, as is the architect and owner.
Thank you, Shweta. Any members of the board have questions of staff? Seeing none, we will open the public comment. Applicant team, you have 5 minutes for a presentation.
Great, thank you. You have my PowerPoint. Thanks. My name is Jim Conrad. I'm the project architect, and we have been meeting the last couple of days with some neighbors. We did reach out previously, but didn't get any response, and unfortunately, we're only able to meet with neighbors just recently. Next slide, please. We are proposing improvements to all levels of the house. This is the main level, the street level of the house, where we are proposing to add an elevator to the stairway to provide access up to the bedroom level. We're also proposing to expand the main living area a little bit and add an additional elevator down to the lower level. Next slide, please. This is on the upper level. You can see where the elevator is incorporated into the stairway. We're adding a laundry room and then a small expansion of the secondary bedroom on the side. Next slide, please. On the lower level, underneath the existing deck, we're proposing to add a 2-bedroom ADU, and that has access down the side yard stairs and also a locked door access from the house. Next slide, please. This, one of the board members asked about the size of the deck and whether it was compatible or comparable to other decks. And this graphic shows that you can see the red outline is the existing deck that we have on the house now, and then the pink outline is what we're proposing. They're approximately the same size. And then additionally, we're proposing a deck off of the ADU below, which is shown in yellow. The main deck is, I think, consistent with the sizes of decks in the area, and the yellow one is the ADU deck is in addition to that and projecting into the canyon a little bit. And we've talked to some of the neighbors about that, and we have a proposal to address concerns on that. Next slide, please. This is, I met with the neighbor 2 doors up, Andrew and Linda, and board members have met with them too. You can see they don't really have, from their dining room, it's not really necessarily an ocean view. There's a small ocean view blockage, but just they can see the improvements. And so they ask us to make some modifications to that. Next slide, please. They asked us to do 3 things. One was to pull the main level deck back or the railing for the main level deck back 2.5 feet, which is that area in blue. So it would be in line with the deck of the neighbor next door, just visually from their dining room. And that's the most oceanward portion of their dining room.
And then down below, we have two other elements. One is a trellis over the windows in the ADU. It was projecting 5 feet to allow some shade over the windows, and they asked us to make that a little smaller, and so we agreed to pull it back 2 feet. And then on the deck off of the ADU, we are proposing to move it back 5 feet from where it is now to pull it back and just make it less apparent in their angular view. Next slide, please. This shows just in floor plan that. So the blue area is the deck for the ADU. The red area is where it was, but we're eliminating it. We're also proposing to pull it in from the side. We understand the neighbors on the downhill side have a concern about privacy into their master bedroom. And unfortunately, I knocked on their door. I wasn't able to meet with them, so I wasn't able to see it, but I did talk to some board members. And so we thought we can pull the deck in on the side to give them a little bit more privacy. Next slide, please. This is a photograph taken from the neighbor above us, the next house up the street. The staking was a little bit deceiving. That yellow line is a staking post that's just holding up a ribbon, but it really is only for the extension of the roof. So the only extensions to the property are that red section on top, where the roof is being extended slightly towards the neighbor on the side. And then the green section is the area that's a view that would change from looking at thank you, Ellie, bedroom number 3. But the area between the yellow and the green and the red, that sort of window of ocean is not being obstructed. Next slide, please. Do you want me to finish on my rebuttal talking about the architecture?
You've got 20 more seconds.
Okay. So we're also proposing to reimagine the architecture to something much more contemporary. That's what the Gojos would like. This shows the existing house. Next slide. And we're proposing to contemporize the front with some horizontal and vertical elements. The massing is largely the same, but the architecture is very different. And I can talk about variances at my rebuttal.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Members of the public, if you wish to speak on this item, please come up to the podium. Each member will have 2 minutes. Please begin.
I'll be very brief. He addressed a couple of my concerns. My name is Trig Smith. My wife, Tracy Nguyen, we own the house at 6519, which is immediately to the west of the proposed project here, 6619. Just 2 issues. The lower deck, if you're standing on it as proposed, I understand that the architect is offering modifications, but as proposed, if you're sitting on the deck, you can actually see into large parts of our master bedroom, including parts of the bed. And then so I think it's kind of related, and then the offset to the east of us seems like it's being proposed as well. That may solve the problem. So that's really all I have right now.
Excuse me, where do you live?
6519 place.
65.
You met with my wife, I think, Ms. Neve.
You're the one down?
And Mr. Bauta. Yeah, the one down.
The
to
one
the west.
immediately below?
Immediately below. Yes.
Okay, do you have, just so I understand, do you have a I mean, are you good with the changes they propose?
Well, I'd have to see the new staking. I don't know if that's going to solve the problem.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And just for the record, here's some photos. I know you've got plenty of photos. You don't need to look at it. I just want to thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Trig. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Please come on up.
Bill, if appropriate, can I get a couple of snapshots from that photo allotment?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm
I can hear you.
Dr. Maxine Graefe. My husband, Peter, and I, to our misfortune, live in the house next to the Gogias, whose proposed construction project is before you this evening. Most of my comments I have given you in writing. I would only say this evening there is really only one issue. There is one family which would increase its income by wanting to rent to two families at the same time. There is another family, an aged couple, which would try to prevent the destruction of the beauty of its home. We ask you to free us from the vision of a wall facing our living room. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maxine. Any other members of the public wish to speak? Come on up.
I'm the wife of Trick Smith, and I live in 651, and I met you. Coming back to your comments that you say you've been calling us and we didn't answer, or you say you knocked on the door. I actually backed my car out and I saw you two standing in the front of the
You need to
house.
be directing your comments to the board, not to the
Oh,
applicant, please.
sorry. I was just saying, I saw them standing in front of the house. I backed my car out. They saw me leaving. If they say they knocked on the door, we wasn't home, that wasn't true because they saw me leaving and they never once wanted to meet up with me to walk inside the house to take a look at the problem we have with privacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. Any other members of the public which wish to speak? Come on up.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Andrew Kai. I'm living at 675 Nias Place. And thank you so much for taking your time to meet me at my house. And then I think that's really, really helpful. But I will go really quick, really short. I know I only had 2 minutes. I had 2 pictures. I tried to point it out, like what I'm concerning. So I can hold it up. I'm not sure you guys can see it or not.
You could hand it out and we'll all take a look at it. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
give it back to you.
Why don't I after explain it to
Sure, go for it.
Explain it and then hang it out. So this is the picture I took it from my dining rooms, like standing inside the dining room, took it out. So as you can see right here, I mean, you can see the whole extension, the structure right here. And the same picture, I just zoom it in, zoom it in. So as you can see that, you know, the proposed structure is blocking the view, and then that is the upper deck, and that's the ADU right here, and that's the trellis, and then there's the lower deck right here. So obviously, I mean, from my dining room, you know, basically number 1 is blocking the view. Number 2 is also the privacy, and as you can see, the lower deck right here. I mean, from my dining room, and then, you know, every time they're there, maybe we can say hi to each other. So the privacy right here, and the number 3 is the landscapes. The reason why I picked this house, to purchase this house is, you know, we had ocean view and also the canyons, it's all natures. So I think, but if the lower deck's sticking out all the way out there, but every time I look at out there, you know, you see the nature, but you also just can see a deck out there. So that's why I'm concerning, you know, the privacy, the view, and also change the landscape of the canyons. But earlier, the proposed architects that they're going to pull back, and they're going to be great. I mean, I love to work with the neighbors. I had no problem with property owner to make change to the model to make their house beautiful. I totally had no problem with that, but also hopefully, you know, the neighbor will also consider, you know, our concerns also. So my last request is hopefully if they can, that we can restake and then see how it looks after the restakings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
Any other members of the public wish to speak on item 5.6?
Just want to make a quick comment.
Sure.
I'm here to support.
Come on up to the podium.
I'm here to support the Grafos at 667 Nice Place, which is to the east, one to the left. I just want to, they suggested some changes, and I wanted to confirm that you're going to maybe restake it so we can see the impact. Oh, I'm sorry. They said that they were going to restake it. I mean, I'm sorry, they're going to pull the whole back of it, of the new construction back. And I wanted to find out if they were going to restake it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anything else? All right, any other members of the public wish to speak on item 5.6? Seeing none, the applicant team, you have 2 minutes for a rebuttal.
All right, thank you. Put the PowerPoint back up. Go where we left off. So I was talking about the architecture, and I wanted to go on to the variances. So on this slide, we're showing examples of other homes in the vicinity that have similar variances, and I won't go through all of them, but there are height and setback variances on various homes on the street. Next slide. Oh, the last slide. Okay. I think that, we've made the findings for the variances. Staff agrees with us, and hopefully you'll agree with the findings that have been made adequately. With regard to the neighbors, it's unfortunate I was unable to meet with the neighbor below, but I did try, and, doesn't always happen. And I did meet with the neighbors above, and we came to an agreement on the 3 things that we offered. I would ask you to consider that, and we'd love to have the project conditionally approved tonight. And if you need us to restake it, we'll restake the project. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Do any members of the board have questions of the applicant? MJ?
I think I
Go
did.
ahead, MJ.
The ADU, where you're pulling back the deck on top of the ADU,
Yes,
so then you'll see rooftop.
you'll see just a little green roof.
So is it going to be a green roof? Is that what you're
2.5
doing?
feet. Yeah, we would
Okay,
do
'cause I-
gravel and maybe some succulents or something.
Okay.
Yeah. Correct.
Louis, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a little hard to follow some of the plan sets, and it might be just because the minimal nature of the planning process now. But I'm struggling with some of the I guess floor plans and the levels from the interior of like where certain components connect. Like on one site, it says the elevators, the ADU elevator, but I can't tell if there's an exterior access to the ADU aside from the deck on the sides.
One of my graphics shows that access. If you want to pull them up, Sarah, I could show you. If you're directing that question to me, I can show you where that access is.
Yeah. If that could be shown, I'd
I'm sorry?
appreciate that.
Is
then my
there
second-
both an interior and exterior access to the ADU? or-
There's an interior and an exterior
Yeah,
access.
why don't you show us?
There's a lockable interior and then an exterior access.
Yeah. Not to
If you
say
go
that it
to- Sorry.
doesn't mean it. Yeah, it just, I think it creates a question on height of the ADU as part of the elevator or not. I'm not really sure.
The arrows, hang on, just right here. Yeah, so it's number, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, yes.
What page is it?
This
in the plan?
7 in the PowerPoint. So basically the ADU is accessed as you're looking at it from the street. On the left side, there's a stairway that goes down the side, and then it just walks across the deck, and then it comes in the back of the ADU. So go to the one with the pink, yeah, go up two
So
up
page
2
4?
slides. Next one. Yeah, Pink Floyd. One more. There you go. Oh, it doesn't have the arrows on it. What happened? I got mixed up. Anyway, so the stairs on the right-hand side of the slide you're looking at, the stairs that are coming down the side of the building, you would turn right and then come into, there's a door into the living room for the ADU in the back.
Off the stairs on the side?
Yeah, that landing is at grade and then it connects to the deck right there.
Okay.
Well, what's the orange shaded area? The
That's
mechanical
a
space?
mechanical room.
Okay.
Yeah, just mechanical.
So I'm not saying, is the access to the ADU off the stairs or off the deck?
Well, you come down the stairs down the side of the house and then across the deck and then into the back of the living room.
Okay. All right.
And then you can
Yeah, and then,
also
like-
you can also access it from an elevator that comes off of the dining room of the main room. So
And
all
then-
3 levels are accessible.
But why are those, I guess for staff, why is this, I mean, it's great that you've got this gym here. I mean, it makes some sense, but I'm not seeing it for the other levels of the main house in the plan deck. So like
Well,
level.
okay, why don't you go up to the
Upper-
next, go
upper
up to the
level?
next, go up to the next slide and I'll show you.
No, I
wanna
mean,
go-
you've got them on these slides, but they're not in the public space for review.
Aren't these from the plans?
I'm not sure what his question. I'm not sure your question is, Lewis.
Are these in your plan set?
These are plans out of the plan set. These are just snips of the plans out of the plan.
Lewis is A3 3.2.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
then this one is A 3.0A is what I'm saying.
I don't have that. And
It's in the plan set. That's attached to the agenda.
I know I only have 12 pages.
I know, Lewis, that happened to me too. Refresh it,
Okay.
and then hopefully,
Plan set's about 40 sheets.
it was
about-
weird. I
Yeah.
know, but initially I had like 12. And I sent,
47.
47.
Yeah, it was my first project in Laguna
Yeah.
Beach. The plan set was 6 sheets. So
Well,
now
and
47.
Jim, I'm not trying to, yeah, I'm just like, I
No,
reviewed
no,
the plan
Lewis,
sets.
that happened, no, it happened to me too. And I don't know why. I only had like 12 sheets and I was like, I can't see. And I, and
Anyway,
then
they're all
staff,
in there.
yeah.
They get
So
technical issues.
refresh it. I think maybe it'll pop up.
I'll get it. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions of the applicant?
Nope.
Public comment is closed, and the board can now enter into discussions and deliberation. Who wants to begin? Tom?
Why don't I begin? First of all, the design, I always have trouble with a white design. And it's a bit blocky, but that's not my biggest concern at this point. Jim, I think you need to listen to my comments. No worries. I have a real problem with neighborhood compatibility of the whole back of the project. I think we saw it very clearly from slide, if you could pull up slide 5 of Jim's PowerPoint. And I think the incompatibility is a cause of all the problems with the neighbors. It's slide 5. Then I'm going to do my pictures, so be ready to show the photos. I'll preface it by saying there's a real pattern of development along Nice Place and the canyon. And it almost looks like it was an intentional pattern of development for a good reason. So you can see how all the houses are basically in a line. And your yellow showing the outline of the ADU deck kind of shows where it's out of a line. And it's somewhat of a rough picture, but it's so that everybody, I think this pattern of development is so that everybody has similar enjoyment of the canyon and ocean views. Also, I found the decks fairly similar in size. So now let's go to my photos, if you could. I took a couple of photos to kind of show this pattern of development and where your project somewhat sticks out too far. It sticks out almost like a sore thumb. You see it from the aerial, but you really see it from the photos here. give it a second. Okay. This shows the pattern of development. Just stop it there, looking down from 651. And you can see how all the houses kind of go back. And then go to the next photo. And this is a photo from up above, and it shows how your project, and particularly the ADU deck, which is the lower story poles, kind of sticks out. That, unlike any other project in the canyon. Next photo. And again, you can kind of see it here, how it, goes way out beyond the line of homes and decks. And I think I have one more to show it. This shows from 6.7, it might have been either 6.75 or 6.67, I'm not sure. But it shows, again, the pattern of development, that nothing sticks out. It's a fairly straight line, and I think that your overhead just even further supports it. So my view is that everything's got to be pulled back, and it's got to be story poled again to where it's in line. It's really hard to say. I think you may be okay at the mainline deck. And by the way, everybody's got big decks, so I'm not troubled by that. But you've got to be in line with the pattern of development. My eyeball said moving it back 5 feet, and being up at at Maxine's house, I think that would work with her house, and it would provide her the canyon ocean views that I think would be in line. I think 5 feet would work, but I need to see story poles. But the big problem is the ADU, and the ADU deck in particular. That deck's got to be pulled way back, if not eliminated. And the ADU itself, and I'm going to talk about the CDP, again, story pole. I want to see that it's in line. If it's out a couple of feet, I'm not going to have a problem. No one's going to quibble. But if it stands out, you can go to a limit, but not beyond it. And you're way beyond it here. And I'd almost need to see it again. The ADU, to get a CDP, a coastal development permit, requires in criteria, finding one, criteria 6, that it be visually compatible. And in my mind, this kind of sets forth the paradigm case for that. I'm not saying the ADU location isn't. I need to kind of see it with because if you have an access point from the deck, you're going to need a deck there, which means the ADU's got to get pulled back. But so you understand the rule, it has to be visually compatible with the neighborhood, with the neighboring properties. And it's particularly important when you're talking about ADUs that it be compatible with the neighborhood topography and the line of development, the pattern of development, particularly where there's an interface with coastal resources like ocean and valley views that go to the ocean. So I just can't approve the project tonight the way it is. It needs to be pulled back. And Jim, I know you can do it, and I think that you've already did some of that, but I think the ADU needs some real work. And I don't want to see an overhead where it's sticking out. With respect to privacy, the proposed decks do impact the privacy of 651, but I think if you pull them back, that will be alleviated, if not eliminated. If there's any additional landscaping or things that can be done if needed, but I would work with them. I understand we're not going to get into who is at fault, but let's talk. These neighbors care about their property. They're beautiful homes. Jim, I've been working with you for a long time. You care about how the neighbors feel. I think those issues can be resolved. By the way, I do not see a view equity issue, and that includes Andrew Kai. It's not view preservation, it's view equity, and you have a tremendous view and with very limited. That being said, I think the line of development, the pattern of development, is so everyone can enjoy a panorama canyon view without anything sticking out to it. I can make all the findings on the variance. I think you make the variance. And as I said, the CDP, I can't grant it because it's not visually compatible, but I think it can be easily done. With respect to the architecture, I'm not crazy about it, but I don't know that I would hold that up, but I'm interested in what my colleagues have to say about that.
I'll go.
MJ?
Okay. Yeah, I concur with what Tom stated. We talked about this when I was there about how the decks are just too far out and not in line with the other decking. So as soon as you eliminate that, I think that will kind of relieve that. And to all the points that Tom specifically laid out. And when you come back, be a little more specific about the green roof, because if it's going to be all gravel or if it's going to actually be, how you're thinking that's going to play out. I can support the variances based on the staff's details there as well. Architectural, I mentioned this to you too when I was there. I think I could get my head around it. It feels like right now they have a nicely articulated front. It has a little more depth and elevation to it. The design that you have now is really nice. But because it's so front forward on the lot, it feels heavy off the street. I get it. I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say. I know that you tried to use these kind of architectural elements to sort of create some sort of a depth, but ultimately it's a flat front. Everything else along that street tends to have a drive into the driveway, and you have sort of a nice L with all the homes. So it's a little relief. We're getting a lot of redos there and a lot of this contemporary boxy stuff. What you've done to it by adding these architectural pieces has really enlightened it, not made it just like a big box. It actually has some dance to it. So I want to hear what everybody else thinks. I could probably work around that. It's just we really need to clean up this back area in the view. The other was for Maxine's side, by you noting that stake was improperly placed. I think that's going to make a big difference. I know you're not articulating that side as much, but where the flat area will start will not really impact them looking out and seeing just a flat wall. I think it'll be okay, but I do think it needs to be properly staked. I think everything needs to be properly staked in order to see if you're supporting the privacy impact on the lower neighbors. So I'll go to their bedroom, hang out, take a peek, see what you think you can give. It's a lot of decking. It becomes a living room out there, so you can give them a little relief there, most likely, in order to achieve the need for the coverage of privacy there. But otherwise, I think you're really close. I just think those little elements need to be heavily addressed, and you're going to get there.
Debbie?
Okay. Okay, and I think that my board member is basically addressing the same thing too. I sent you a photo from Maxine's upstairs bedroom, and the way it looks like it's staked, that extension into the bedroom and then that laundry room up there, that to me it looks like it annihilates like 60% of her whitewater view. And I could be wrong, but so that I want you to take a very close look at that. And if you need me to send you that photo again, I'd be happy to do that. That's driving my concern with approving the height variance. I'm okay with the front yard's setback encroachment. I mean, that's fine. And I think at that front, even with the elevator, I don't think you can really approve a partial height variance. So that's why I'm saying I'm uncomfortable right now with your height variance. Basically, that's what's driving that. With regard to the ADU deck, that extension, again, I'd have to see it staked because there's a very serious privacy issue with the neighbor below, because that's their entire bedroom dressing area. And I don't know that 5 feet would do it. I don't know that you could do much other than access into the ADU if that's going to be your only access. So I would like to see that staked. So I appreciate what you're thinking about doing as far as the overhang and as far as that upper deck or the middle deck or whatever that is, pulling that back. I think that might be fine, but that lowest ADU deck, I have an issue with. Other than that, those are my key comments.
Thank you, Debbie. Louis?
Yeah. I concur with my colleagues so far, and most of their statements, so I'll try not to repeat. I think Debbie's last comments about the ADU deck, I believe the challenge is, in my mind, that the decking is part of the design review, and it's not necessarily a right under the ADU dynamics. My challenge is it far exceeds the pattern of development, and what I'm going by on that is the drainage channel is really where most of the development stops along that hillside. So I think your access points need to be created more on the side. If there's a small deck, so like kind of Juliet type style, or something that allows for, kind of sliding doors where it's really tucked up to the house, it could be amenable. But 759 square feet, or 58, it's 59. Almost doubles the size of the ADU, and I think it's just not proportionate, and it's not consistent with the pattern development. So that one's an uphill battle for me to support. The upper deck, Jim, I really appreciate the follow up and kind of showcasing where kind of some of the modifications on the upper level are. I think the wraparound deck component really needs to be scaled back on that upper level. I don't think it provides any benefits to your applicant. I think it's just where do we add decking and that kind of stuff, and it's just excessive. And it creates privacy dynamics, as mentioned by my other colleagues as well. So that needs to be tucked in. The boxy nature of the style, I think, is adding to the mass and of the structure. I'm not saying you got to change the style, but I do think there's some elements of design integrity that need to try to help minimize some of those changes. I know you're creative, but it takes a talent to not make a small building look big or make a big building look small. And I know you can do it. I think you guys need a second look at some of that. The mid-level deck, I think, is the main living area for most of your areas. So I can balance some of the comments of my board members. There's reasonability to have space there, as that's the main outdoor space for most of these hillside homes. And I think there's components that are compatible there. I do need a second look at some of the calculations because I'm not following all of it. Some of it's not refreshing on mine. And so from referencing, the ADU elevator seems to trigger over 1,000 square feet, or might be incorporated in it. I'd just like a better layout from staff as this comes back on where those components are. Some of it's because it's just not refreshing. I know I looked at it and made some notes earlier, but I can't go further as there's a technical element with my pad and I can't see the floor plans. Yeah, there just needs to be another look at it. And, I'm open to opportunities with this project, but I'll hear from the rest of my board members.
Thank you, Louis. It's my go. So I think you're close, Jim. I think this project, pushed the envelope a bit, but not too far away. I think that lowest level deck, there can be something warranted there while still respecting privacy and neighborhood compatibility. I think if that's brought in, I would say the 5 on the side would work if it comes back another 5. So 10, 5 by 5 foot off of the face of the building, and then just carry that line across. I think that'll go a long way with bringing the property back to board member Gibbs's request. I think the mid-level deck is, warranted given the limitations on yard and access. I think that kind of resolves that. I'm not too concerned with design integrity. I think the elements, your homes are beautiful. I think that, this home, maybe, coloring, maybe the renderings don't quite match up to the style of the home. But from what I could tell, I think there's going to be enough interesting elements in there. And then once you add landscaping in there, I think it's going to really make it even more beautiful. Pertaining to the variance, I can make the findings for the variance. I think it's warranted in this part of town with, what was it, added 2 feet of height on the property. I'm not too concerned with. I also don't think that was an element that was brought here tonight by any members of the public pertaining to height. So I don't think that's an issue for us. Yeah, so I would just say the privacy component, can be maintained. And then one of the elements that was consistent for some of the public was hopeful for restaking. I think while that is a benefit, I don't think that's a necessity, but it seems like there's consensus on the board for it. So, that would be super helpful for seeing this project again, just to get that lowest level deck restaked. Yeah, I think that's those majority of my comments. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, the one thing that that I ask you to do when you bring it back, because Pierce is coming back, is kind of show us where your improvements fit within the pattern of development, the line of development. And I think that overhead, I know it's not exact, but that aerial was very helpful. And I think it could be helpful to the board to kind of see how you do that. Again, I don't think it's an exact science where it's, has to be within a 2 feet, what I'm talking about, Jim. But it has to stay mainly within, in my view, within the pattern of development. I'd like to see you get close to that. That's my only additional
And Chair, I
comment.
just want to add, you mentioned staking. I just want to be clear about the staking. You said just the decking, but I think it
No, the
needs
whole
to-
thing
yeah.
needs. to be
Yeah, the whole thing, but
Okay.
the
All right.
adjustments.
Because we have issues on height. I'd also like to see if the height variance results in a height that interferes with wide water views. I want you to look carefully at that. But yeah, I think everything needs to be staked.
So comments wise, you were thinking it needed to be brought back in. Were you thinking it down too, Tom?
what?
You were thinking there was an issue with heights?
No, they're seeking a height variance, and Debbie pointed out that
There might be.
the roof line potentially interferes with whitewater views. I did not look at that. I did not get a photograph of that. So when
Okay.
she showed it to me, and she made it in her comments, I'm just saying, we only get 2 hearings now. And I want to approve this project, the next ones. I don't think we've ever not approved one of your projects. So that's why I want to be able to get the right, I want to get it so it's within the sweet spot of the board. And that's where I was talking about the aerial
Understood.
and the staking. So
I want to hear from the applicant.
Yeah, can I ask a question about staking?
Yep.
So yeah, and I'll show that. I don't think the height variance areas affect anybody's views, and I'll
okay.
show that. I'll figure out a way to show that. But on the staking, when we restake, do you want us to leave the existing staking in place and put new stakes in a different color, or just new stakes?
New stakes, that always
So
confuses
take the old
heck
stakes
out of me.
away.
I listen to my colleagues, but I hate.
Because I
doing
hear
that.
different things. I'm seeing shaking of heads.
New stakes would be, yeah.
So don't show the old stuff anymore.
No, I don't care about that. I want to see
Just
what
new
it looks
staking.
like as a.
All the same color.
And then
Fresh.
maybe additional attention to the roof line pertaining to, it looks like from the neighbor upstream.
It's from Briff.
Yeah, from the neighbor upstream, it looks like there's a kind of a 60-degree angle from their secondary bedroom. Is that right?
Master bedroom.
Master bedroom.
That's
Looking
right
out.
next door.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
So-
don't have a U block. I'll show that.
So.
That'll be
I can show that.
Photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the photo and I'm going to look at it next
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So
The
just
stake,
be sure you got that.
one of the
covered.
poles holding something up is
Awesome.
deceiving, so I got it.
Good.
Is,
So do we
all right,
move
so we got
for
some,
continuance?
yeah, I'd like to move.
How
for
much time do you
continuance.
need?
Yeah, how much time do you need?
But I don't know what's available and when does it have to be in and that type of thing.
I hear 2027 is a good year.
So in order to hit the October 8th meeting date, we would need everything back by August 19th. So you'd have about 3 weeks.
That's fair, okay. Yeah,
Other than
I'll
that,
get-
we're
October
looking
8th is
at
good.
September 2nd, submittal date for October 22nd.
But let's do the first hearing in October.
Okay,
All right.
October 8th.
October 8th.
Chair, I move that item 5.6 for 661 Nice Place be moved to, or be continued to our October 8, 2026 meeting.
I second.
Board Member Coveney?
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs?
Yes.
Board Member Weil?
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Neve?
Oh,
Yes. Chair Bauta?
Yes. All right.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
What's the submittal date again?
October 8th or
August
August
19th?
19th. Yeah.
August 19th, yeah, okay, no problem. You want to?
I know. And because the renderings.
Continuing with our next order of business, item 5.7
And it's.
for a site located at 854 Tijuana Street. Design review 2026-0817, coastal development permit 2026-0816. Ex parte, please.
Okay.
Yes, I met with the architect and with Jessica Gannon and with the neighbor, and I'm going to have to try to find his name. Sorry. I didn't write your name down. Yes, thank you.
And I met with Jessica and Brian as well as Lauren.
I did the same.
I did the same. And I met with Jess and with Kathy Muma.
Yeah. Yes, and Kathy, and then I met with Lauren, or I spoke with her on the phone and visited the site.
Thank you, Louis. Staff, please prepare a presentation to present.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
This project at 854 Tijuana Street involves design review and a coastal development permit. The project site is in Arch Beach Heights. The project site includes a building site and 2 non-building sites. The building site here is shown in green and the non-building sites are shown in orange. The proposed project is a new single-family home. The single-family home is proposed at 2,850 square feet approximately, as well as a 950 square foot attached ADU totaling 3,800 square feet approximately. And it also involves elevated deck area of 890 square feet across 2 levels. It includes a spa on the lower level deck, as well as landscaping and hardscaping, grading, and retaining walls. The lot combination, as I mentioned earlier, and a road extension. This is the west elevation facing Tijuana Street. The garage is located here at the top. And then we have the upper level of the home and then the lower level of the home. And you can see it's following the topography. And then here we have the south elevation. This south elevation is facing the open space. Yes. And then we have the north elevation. This faces 868 Tijuana Street. The east elevation, this faces 865 Balboa Avenue. And here we have the garage floor plan, which is the uppermost floor plan. And only the garage is located at this level, as well as any storage, and then access to the lower levels, as well as the trash area. On this upper level floor plan, we have the living room, as well as a bedroom. On the lowest level, and then not to mention, there's also, let's see, there's a deck area on this level as well. And then this lower level has a majority of the deck area and an ADU and then a couple bedrooms. Staff received correspondence from 2 neighbors, one at 865 Balboa Avenue with concerns regarding Catalina view obstruction, privacy, scale and massing, neighborhood compatibility, and lighting, and from 868 Tijuana with Ocean Canyon view obstruction concerns, the removal of the large eucalyptus tree, and privacy concerns. This image over here on the right would be the view from 865 Balboa, and same with this image down here, but 868 Tijuana is the structure right here in the image. So staff's conclusion is that a majority of the project complies with the design review criteria and there's no significant adverse environmental impacts. However, view equity is the primary concern here. And so it's staff's recommendation to continue the project to a date certain with direction to the applicant to address view equity. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Daniel. I've got a question for staff. If you could go back 2 slides. This correspondence with the rendering, is that from a neighbor or is that from staff?
This is from the neighbor's correspondence that was submitted.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. Any other questions of staff?
Just one more thing, just so it's clear on the lot combination, under the specific, I just want to confirm, under the specific plan for Arch Beach Heights, we're required to make the findings for the lot combination, but we're not being asked to approve the lot combination.
That's correct. The board has to make the findings for the lot combination and which starts on page 20 of the staff report. So,
right.
And then from there, it would have to go before city council to do a lot combination. However, city council did approve a new ordinance this past Tuesday, and that may change the way we do lot line adjustments in the future. Staff will have to confirm later down the road, but typically, or in the past, before the ordinance, it would have been through city council for that. And it would also be city council for the road extension with recommendation for approval from the planning commission.
What are the new measures?
The new measures?
Yeah. They may not apply to this project, it sounds like, but it'd be nice to know.
No, so I think we're going to talk about this at the end of the meeting, but just so for the record, on Tuesday night, the city council adopted the urgency ordinance for the new design review efficiency process. So there are several ordinances, new, design guidelines that were adopted, things that still have to progress through the local or through the coastal permitting process as well. But we do have an urgency ordinance that took effect on Wednesday. And so staff is still getting familiar with those, but there will be some changes that you'll be noticing in the staff reports, starting with your next meeting and going forward from there. And we will set up some briefings with the board members and maybe make a brief presentation out in upcoming meeting to get you more familiar with some of the more substantive changes in that ordinance that will affect your actions in the future.
So for the purposes of the lot line, we just consider it business as usual until we hear something different.
Correct.
Okay.
Could the ordinance override the Arch Beach specific plan or not? Probably. huh?
No.
No, it should not. They should work in harmony.
Yeah,
with
because
each
all
other.
we're asked to do is findings. I don't think it's going to impact how the city council.
We opened a
addresses-
can of worms, Tom.
And
Yeah, I had, I've been on for almost 4 years now. I've never seen this before.
Yeah.
That us get involved in a lot combination. So I just want to make it clear that I'm understanding it right and it's consistent with the staff. report.
We just did one not that long ago in Morningside where they had the same element where they had to get the easement approved to go through.
Did we do findings on the lot?
I want to say there's that offshoot street. I can't remember if it's Catalina off of Alta Vista where like we were doing the road extension for that site with the circle. So it is common. It doesn't happen that often, but it is usually the road's approved ahead of the project. But as we saw up in Morningside, the applicant has the choice of either way on how they wish to proceed with their
No, not with
application.
this. That's what I'm saying, Louis. We have to make findings before it goes to the city council under the Arch Beach Heights specific plan. So it's different. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, go ahead.
And I have a question. I spoke with Daniel, and I think that I know that it's common in Arch Beach Heights where 2 lots are combined because there's a lot of 50-foot front because they're all like 25 by 100, right? So this is a very unusual one because I know that you're presenting 1 buildable and 2 non-buildable. even though it's pieces of basically 4 other lots. So the rest of those lots are just like no man's land? I mean, so the property line is just that angle, is that correct? Just the rest of that lot or whatever. So it's just like,
Hang on,
that's not
we would
within
make sure
scope.
if you're communicating, that's fine. Just make sure your mic is on so everyone can hear.
No, I'm just asking Daniel, just to verify or just to confirm that.
That's true. Yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Okay, that was my question there. And then the other thing is the other question that we spoke about too, as far as the setback for the waterway, that there are certain things that can be in that setback, like retaining walls and things like that.
There is nothing proposed in the watercourse buffer, which is 25 feet from the center line, other than cantilevered portions of the home and ADU. So
And-
there's no structural improvements within the watercourse buffer.
And I thought there was fencing or something. Okay, so there's nothing.
No,
Okay.
I think what you might be seeing is there's a design element that it appears that that is
Something,
structural, but
right.
that's really the cantilevered portion, and
Okay.
you would have to view the rendering or an elevation or section to
Okay,
fully
just to kind of see
understand
that. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. Thank you for that clarification.
Any other questions of staff? We will move to public comment. Public comment is declared open. Applicant team, you have 5 minutes for presentation. You may begin.
Okay, Daniel, can I have my presentation, please? Good evening. I'm Lauren Buckite with Horst Architects. Thank you all for your time today and for allowing me to present for 854 Tijuana. This project is the future home of the Ronnie family. They're a local family who hopes to build a long-term home here and become part of the Arch Beach Heights community. Our design has been shaped by the site's unique hillside conditions and by careful consideration of this neighborhood. You're looking at project imagery, looking back at Tijuana, the facade here. Next slide. The next slide is looking with Tijuana on our left. The only building element at street level, as Daniel mentioned, is the garage. The primary living spaces step down the hillside below that garage, with bedrooms and ADUs continuing on the lower site and that cantilever deck wrapping around towards the canyon. Next slide. This is a site here at the end of Tijuana at the very high end of Arch Beach Heights. Next slide. This is a site, you can see the staking lightly. And when considering the development approach, early in the design process, we evaluated 2 different design approaches. We could have either developed only on that existing 25-foot lot and concentrated the entire residence at the top of the property and maximize the building height within that, going completely to the top of the design and zoning envelope, which is about approximately on Tijuana 10 feet higher than where our residence currently sits. Alternatively, and what we chose to pursue was looking into a lot combination, which is specifically spelled out and has provisions for within the Arch Beach Heights specific plan. This approach allows the building footprint to be distributed across the site. Instead of building upwards, the residence follows the natural hillside by stepping down the terrain and better responds to the site's topography. It aligns with the hillside design guidelines in such a way, reduces the perceived mass and scale, and helps preserve by stepping down and pushing that massing down the hillside, both canyon and coastal views for the property and neighboring homes. The following slides will demonstrate how this design strategy achieves those goals. Next slide. This is just demonstrating the site and our 2 neighbors that will be in dialogue with 868 Tijuana and 865 Balboa. Next slide. Looking at the project extent here, the project footprint is shown in gray. Vehicle access and the garage are located right off Tijuana, and a covered deck wraps around and cantilevers on the south. Next slide. Setbacks are shown in red, and in blue is the water course. As Daniel explained, there's no structure in that water course. However, you are allowed to cantilever, deck, and structure into it, so no structure within the water course. That has informed and clearly has denoted where that footprint can lie when looking at the project site. Next slide. This is showing the lot combination and what is proposed. This diagram illustrates the proposed portions of the lot combination, the lower portion containing that irregular triangle parcel adjacent to the water course. Combining the lots allows us to terrace the residence down the hillside. You'll notice on the gray shading slightly right, the different footprints of the terracing within that project footprint, rather than concentrating all the mass along that north property line and building to the top of the zoning envelope. Even with the larger site, the watercourse naturally keeps the primary building volume towards the northern portion of that property. Next slide. This is an aerial of Arch Beach Heights with our site on the right. A clear development pattern emerges. Homes located at the end of the streets and adjacent to this canyon generally have larger lots, larger building footprints, and more distributed massing. You see that down on the left here, as well as some of our adjacent lots near the site. Our proposal follows that established neighborhood pattern. Next slide. Looking more closely around our project site, you can see blue indicates a 50-foot lot, yellow 75 or higher. You'll notice that, again, along this canyon at ends of roads within Arch Beach Heights, you will see a pattern that there are larger square footage homes, more spread out massing, and larger lots. Next slide. This is a specific precedent that has been approved within the last 5 years. It's in Arch Beach Heights on the other side, 1201 Noria. The lot combination was made up of both a buildable and non-buildable lot approved in 2022 to a 100-foot lot width. This, located at the end of Noria in Arch Beach Heights, is similar in lot condition and location. The square footage is also comparable, and the massing, as you can see in this section, terraces down the hillside with a similar approach to maximize view equity. Next slide.
Thank you, Lauren. You'll be able to continue on a rebuttal.
Okay.
We'll open to members of the public. If you wish to speak on this element, please come up to the podium. You'll have 2 minutes.
Good evening. I am Brian Muma from 865 Balboa. I want to thank the Design Review Board members for visiting our property. I know this is part of your work, but I appreciate you taking the time nonetheless. Firstly, we respect the rights of the owners to build on 854 Tijuana. At the same time, we believe there is a more equitable design to be considered. Can you pull up this, Daniel?
Sorry. Yeah, we can hold the clock.
Okay, thank you.
Continue.
So the questions we have for the Design Review Board is the overall design compatible with the Arch Beach Heights neighborhood? Is the scale and mass compatible with Arch Beach Heights neighborhood? And are the view equity and neighbor privacy properly addressed in the design? We believe reasonable revisions can be made to resolve these questions. Next slide. And the concern isn't that a home is being built, it's that the footprint occupies nearly the full visual envelope created by combining these lots, resulting in a much larger apparent building than the homes in the surrounding neighborhood. You can see that on the slide. Next slide, please. As you look at these homes, these are the actual homes on Tijuana. So and typically these are much smaller lots, and they're yeah. And so there's really our concern is just that what's being built here doesn't really compare to what's in the neighborhood. Next slide. Okay. We believe that the proposed plan is incompatible with Arch Beach Heights. The proposed deck is considerably larger than those of neighboring homes. A smaller step back deck would be much better, preserve privacy, view equity, and visual impact. And the next slide, please. So the gray overlay represents the proposed home based on the submitted plans and the story poles. As noted, it occupies nearly the entire visual envelope. From our home, that mass and scale substantially impacts our view of the ocean horizon and Catalina Island. You can see that on the right, the shape of Catalina Island. Next slide, please. The proposed design would eclipse the beautiful sunset views we have in the fall and the winter. And we enjoy those from our deck, from our family room, and from our primary bedroom. Next slide, please. So in summary, we're requesting that you keep the majority of the home on the original buildable lot, as you propose as one of your potential scenarios. Limit building on the adjacent lots to a single story. Reduce and step back the upper deck to be more consistent with the neighboring homes. Remove windows facing directly towards our home. Remove balcony sections that allow direct views into our bedroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other members wish to speak?
Thank you. Go to the next slide, please. Good evening. I'm Kathy Muma. Brian and I understand that a home can be built on this property. He explained why we believe this design could be improved in terms of mass and scale and neighborhood compatibility. Our request is simply that it is designed in a way that better respects the homes that are already there. For perspective, this corner on the right-hand side of the rendering would be facing our home. You can go to the next slide, please. I'd like to briefly show you what this project means from the perspective of somebody who lives directly behind it at 865 Balboa. That's our home that's marked with the little icon. We recognize that no home owns a view, but where feasible design alternatives exist, Laguna Beach has long encouraged projects that thoughtfully reduce impacts on neighboring properties. So you could go to the next slide, please. This is our living room. Our home's original design intentionally oriented the kitchen, living room, dining room, and deck towards the Pacific Ocean. Those spaces are where we spend our daily lives with family and friends. This view is one of the defining features of our home, and the proposed design would significantly change it. Go to the next slide, please. The middle floor of our house has bedrooms and bathrooms, again, all intentionally facing the ocean view. A multiple storied home on these unbuildable lots would greatly impact our privacy. The proposed windows and elevated decks would introduce new sight lines into spaces that are currently private, including our primary bedroom, which you can see on the right, and bathroom. Next slide, please. Similarly, we do not want to look into our neighbor's home and request that all windows facing our property be repositioned. Next slide, please. As you can see, our primary bedroom, these are the two angles of it, has no doors between our bedroom and our bathroom. So privacy is a major concern should anybody be able to look into our property. Next slide, please. We appreciate the time and care that goes into reviewing projects like this. We're not asking you to deny this application. We're simply asking you to require specific revisions that result in a home that is more compatible with its surroundings and more respectful of neighboring properties. Thank you for your consideration. Now our neighbor Lisa will come and show you her photos.
Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Lisa Easton. I live next door to Kathy and Brian at 887 Balboa Avenue. And unfortunately, I wasn't available to have you come to my house before this meeting, but if it's necessary, of course, you're welcome to come before the next. And on this slide, you'll see my house is the one with the solar panels. And I bought this house 12 years ago, I believe, and have appreciated the ocean view and have hoped that canyon wouldn't grow too big and take away my ocean view, but I still appreciate the canyon as well. And then I saw the stakes go up. My heart dropped, right? So this blocks my entire ocean view. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to have you there at my house, but it completely takes it away. And while I understand that there is a capability to build and, you know, we live in Laguna Beach, I just hope some of my view can be preserved if possible. This is a picture of, so those trees are my trees, and the view, you know, we keep them right to where we can still see the view, and you can see the blacked out area to the picture on the right where the stakes are. And then for the first time tonight, I saw the rendering of the home, and I mean, immediately thought this looks nothing like Arch Beach Heights, right? I've been driving there for almost 15 years, and to me, it looks nothing like the neighborhood. But anyways, I don't know if there's any questions allowed from you guys or if we just end the, okay. Well, thank you for listening.
Thank you. Any other members?
Hello, Chair Balta, board members. It's interesting to be here. Staff, Daniel, great presentation or great staff report. I feel like it's a family reunion. Oh, excellent. So I work with Kathy and Brian in opposition of Tijuana. When you guys came out, I showed plans that Horst politely gave to me that showed 4 lots that they were combining. But it ends up, they've already combined those 4 lots. And so they're combining now this evening 3 lots, which lot 6 is considered a buildable lot, and they are considering to build on the 2 other lots. So before us tonight, we have a 3-lot combination. And you guys are tasked with making all of the findings set out in 25.35.065 of the Arch Beach Heights specific plan to determine whether a lot combination is valid. Next slide. So of that list, I will stick to the 2 points of interest, private views and neighbor impacts and privacy. So privacy and private views. Next slide. So the overlay of the pink shows the impacts from one of the main living areas. You can see the Catalina view is completely gone. There's a lot of blue ocean that's also gone. Next slide. So this is another area of the main living area where it's upstairs. The Catalina view is completely obliterated. And then a lot of blue ocean view is also gone. And in this slide, you can see some privacy impacts. Next slide. So this is taken down in the primary suite, the bathroom, the bedroom and bathroom. As shown in other slides, you can see that it's an open floor plan. And this house was built before engineered glass, where when you're inside the house at nighttime, if you're outside, you can see into the home when the lights are on. And this completely shows the mass and scale of the project that's before you this evening. Next slide. So this is a little bit misconstrued because you can't see the neighboring properties on Balboa, but you guys were all there at the site. So the floor to ceiling windows face directly towards the neighboring house. And then the balcony, the wraparound balcony, you can see directly into their bedroom in Balboa. And then with that, so is it Lauren? Lauren, the examples that you showed, although they are great examples, they're not exactly specific to this area. It's not site specific to this area. Those don't impact neighbors. Those oh gosh, okay. So to wrap it up, you have to be very site specific. So this area, you got privacy. It looks back at the 2 of the Balboa properties. So you have privacy, view impacts, very important Catalina view impacts. And yeah, I just ask that you take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Jess.
Yeah.
We will return, any other members? Sorry, come on up. Sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Alan Holtschneider. I live at 874 Tijuana Street, one house over from the project proposed. The neighbors have addressed the privacy issues, so I won't go into that as well. I will say the scale of the building isn't quite the same as the ones that were shown because none of those are at a cul-de-sac. They're all along a road rather than at the end of a road. So very different as far as access to those properties. I am a little also concerned about the vibration and the seismic impact. Excavation drilling on that sloped triple lot along canyon rims proposes real ground vibration risk. Heavy rock hammering and deep grading cause slope displacement and structural wall cracking in nearby homes like mine. I know whenever we did our back garden, just the retaining walls alone, the guy stood there for hours with the jackhammer. So I can only imagine the impact of a canyon build versus just a retaining wall. So I'm hoping that these make sure that integrity of our homes are protected before permits are issued. Also, there's been a little bit of confusion on the access. Our road is a narrow dead-end canyon street on a high fire hazard severity zone. The current dead-end length is approximately 138 feet. During the neighborhood meeting, we were told the extension would be about 15 feet to extend, which takes us beyond the 150-foot requirement for a turnaround. Under California Fire Code, that even a 150-foot mark mandates a full fire truck turnaround. Even if staff calculates it under 150 feet, any minor math or measuring error that exceeds 150 feet cannot be granted. I mean, there should be no variance when it comes to safety. It's a very congested area, those houses. Our ability to evacuate during fire risk needs to be considered. I know that there's been a lot of issues with the rear decks and walls because I think the idea of having privacy impacted at that level is just too great. And I also am a little concerned with the differences in math as far as the 150-foot fire code. That road, I mean, there's 10 of us on that road. And I do worry that house, although beautiful, I love my house myself, is massive compared to our homes. And even the ones that butts up to in the canyon, it basically encloses that little triangle of canyon space to almost merge us with Balboa. So I really hope that there's some variance, to the building itself and make sure that the privacy of the neighboring homes is protected. So again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Vargo, and I'm speaking for my ex-wife that literally lives right next door to this project at 868 Tijuana. She bought her home in 2001, and 25 years later, she's watching the entirety of the canyon that she's lived next to disappear. The giant eucalyptus that has given her privacy from the street above is supposedly going to be removed. And all of this is obviously incredibly traumatic. You were not able to speak with her, or you have not spoken with her. And I think you should, as an opportunity to see her home and the impact of this project. The reality of this project is, to me, impossible. If you look at the need to extend the street itself an additional 20 feet in order for them to have a driveway that is going to go into the property to make it all possible, the canyon drops off almost immediately in terms of where it exists right now. And you're talking about going out another 15 or 20 feet to make this road even possible for the house to be constructed. And I have great concerns as to the challenges that is going to be, certainly for her going in and out of her own driveway, or the people next door. I can't even imagine the chaos that is going to be created before this home that is giant and incompatible and fills the entire base of the canyon can even go forward. And I would like to have you seriously look at the reality of extending this street in order to make the project happen in the first place. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name is Linda Vargo. I live at 868 Tijuana Street, right next to what is going on. And I just want to say, the story poles are barely 5 feet from my front deck. My deck will be looking into garages, solid walls blocking ocean views and green space. These huge walls will not only block out ocean views, but also impede in privacy and a feeling of claustrophobia. Most of the houses on Tijuana are about 1,600 square feet. This huge McMansion is 3,000 square feet. It does not fit in to the neighborhood. And my main concern is, once this is approved, we won't have any more canyon. People, builders will be rushing in to fill up the canyon. It'll be gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to speak pertaining to item 5.7 tonight? Seeing none, I will return back to the applicant team. You have 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Thank you, everyone. If you could switch back to the slideshow. Next slide, please. In response to mass and development in the area in comparison to adjacent lots, while the staking is spread out due to the stacking and stepping down the hillside, the actual square footage is completely comparable to the adjacent lots. You'll see that the 2 lots adjacent to us on Balboa are within 100 square feet or so of the proposed area of ours, as well as larger sites down on Aliso. Next slide. This wellest elevation is looking at the end of Tijuana. You'll see that the garage is the only mass that you see off of Tijuana. Additionally, in red, you'll see the max building height allowance. We could go, what's dimensioned there, another 9 or 10 feet up if we did consolidate the mass on Tijuana on that buildable site. This is an approach that pushes down and steps the massing, so while it does break apart and extend the footprint, it steps the massing and pushes it down in the hillside with 2 different neighbors behind and adjacent to us to try and be mindful of that view equity for both. Next. This section, you can see the garage with mostly the habitable here in red centered. And one thing I want to note is that end cantilever deck, that is outdoor deck, that the staking is a little deceiving when you highlight over it. It is not all mass and scale. A lot of it is open with string lines denoting glass guardrails or open cantilever decks. Next. This is the only massing you see from Tijuana. Instead of building it up, we built it down. This minimizes the perception of mass and scale at Tijuana and does protect views up along this street. Next slide. You'll see not only are we stepping down the hillside to protect view, but if you look at the site plan to the left and you'll see as we go back to Balboa, the massing is also stepping back in that sense. 3 sections getting smaller and smaller, closer to the adjacent neighbors to try and protect that view corridor. Next slide. You can see here from Balboa in the red highlighted where the stakes are, the stepping of the massing down, trying to preserve that view and canyon. Up at Tijuana, our adjacent neighbor, you can see here, if we built 10 feet over that right consolidated massing, it would be much more impactful than reducing it and stepping it down the hillside. Next slide, and the final one. This is that staking. This is from 865 Balboa. The majority of that ocean view is preserved. Catalina is preserved. I understand there are different views within the house that all of you have visited, and we are trying to work towards that. I do feel that the massing steps along with that hillside, and much of the stakes that you're seeing here that are projecting it are the glass guardrails and the cantilever decks, not solid massing. Do I have more time? No. One more slide. One more slide just to end on. In closing, we believe this design provides a beautiful long-term home for the Ronnie family while making a positive contribution to Arch Beach Heights community. Our proposal is consistent both in the pattern of development in the neighborhood, whether it's scale, square footage wise, or lot size, along the ends of these streets and long canyon views. By combining the lots, we are able to avoid creating a taller, more concentrated massing and blocking views. Instead, the residents following the natural hillside, terracing with the topography, it reduces mass and scale, carefully threads the needle between both neighboring homes to preserve and aim to preserve, canyon views and ocean views. Thank you. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lauren. Any questions for the applicant?
one regarding kind of I guess the kitchen dining room, like roof element. Following the cuts and that kind of stuff, it looks like it's angling from the back to the front. Is that hollow lofted space? Is it just design elements driving that? Or am I following that right? That it's just kind of a bigger, like it's a slanting opening roof to make one side higher ceilings than the other?
Lauren.
I'm so sorry. I thought that was for the adjacent neighbor. The side that's up by Balboa, that's the sloping roof you're saying?
Is it just a design feature, or is it really a functionality of living space?
Well, there's a few different things on the site. You know, we have the water course below going from below and then Tijuana from above. So we're hitting elevations up at Tijuana with minimal ceiling heights up at the garage. And we're stepping down there. So we have to hit that elevation. And then we're also above the water course. So we're trying to submerge that massing to try and maintain views for the surrounding neighborhood with kind of basically navigating between the water course offset and the height that we have to fit on Tijuana. And that's what's driving the stepping down the hillside of this massing. These aren't substantial ceiling heights. When you take out the package, these are 9-foot ceiling heights.
The garage is 12-foot plate and it's got a 5-foot riser on one side. I mean, I think if I'm looking at it, you know, for the kitchen and dining room, more specifically for the question that I'm asking, is that on one side, you've got a 7-foot riser that comes down to the, you know, with a 10-foot plate height on that level above the kitchen. Am I following that right on the plan set?
So the plate height starting above the garage is a 7-foot plate height that then pitches up for clear stories. So the plate height where you, on the right side of the garage is 7-foot clear. That offset that continues over the kitchen that you're alluding to, the more double height space, that's also incorporating, you know, the access from the upper volume down into that lower volume. There is some overlap there, but as soon as you get past and at the entry, it steps down into that black metal and glass box that you can see. So there is some overlap between the higher volume and the lower volume to negotiate, you know, circulation between.
What's the
On
plate
A2,
height
it
for
says
the
it's
glass
really
box, real quick? What's the
open
plate
to
height
blow.
for the glass box where the kitchen is that jets out?
It's 9.
9.
I can pull up this section. Hold on.
Louis, you had another question, Louis?
Sure.
No, I didn't mean to interrupt. I just wanted to know. Go ahead, Louis.
Yep, 9.
Thanks.
Louis, did you have another question?
Louis, you're on mute.
Hello?
I bet you didn't have another question. So any other
Yeah,
questions for the applicant?
This is more for just to confirm with Patrick. I've reviewed 25.35.065. Way I read it, and I want to make sure we're correct legally before we go into deliberations, is that for a lot combination, design review board must make these findings. So in other words, without our findings, the lot combination is not approved. And for this reason, the staff report says the DRB does have authority to review and approve lot merger. So is that the reason why we do? Because those findings are required for a lot merger by the design review board?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
No other questions for the applicant. We'll close the public comment. Debbie, you can begin.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'm just going to dive in here. I have quite a few concerns with this project. And I'll just start from the top. I know that we can't opine, from what I understand, on the actual road extension, that's certainly Public Works, entirely in their purview. But I think that, but currently, as it is now, when we talk about design review criteria, it does not meet the access criteria. Furthermore, I think that I don't believe that it really complies with the general plan because although there's not in policy 2.10, maximizing the preservation of coastal and canyon views, and I realize both private and public, because that whole area, I lived in Arch Beach Heights for 25 years, and I think that, you know, that from when you go from the park and you start going down that hill, there's an entire section there that's really designated for public views. And I think that there's a serious impact there from the canyon, and it's not preserving that. I believe that, again, that also touches on land use policy 7.3 as far as the public views. So that's for both of those areas. And then land use policy 7.10 also says regarding pre-existing development, avoiding unnecessary expansion into undeveloped areas. I think that this is definitely trying to expand into undeveloped areas. And I know that you had mentioned there are other development, but I believe that it is not neighborhood compatible nor consistent with the pattern of development, because I think that this design, although it's an incredibly beautiful design, is more consistent with the Portofino development, not with Arch Beach Heights. And so I don't believe that it's neighborhood compatible. And I think that there's also sustainability and environmental impact. I know you have a biological, I'm not talking about that, but I think that just the amount of digging and disruption in that canyon, I think that there's a sustainability issue there as well. Also, excuse me. Also, I think that there's some, let me just get back to the page. Also, I think that there's some inconsistencies when we talk about the Arch Beach Heights specific plan standards. You know, on one hand, they'll say that the architectural character is further reinforced through restrained use of materials, included expansive glazing, wood, et cetera. But then that's to address Arch Beach Heights specific plan number 1. But then there's an immediate contradiction in number 2, because then it says the extensive use of glazing, open spaces, and outdoor living further reduces the visual mass of that. So yes, it reduces the mass, but then you have extensive glazing. So that's inconsistent. Also, again, and then with item number 3, the lot coverage shall not exceed the specific that's specified in the zoning ordinance. Again, this is only if the 3 lots are merged. And so currently it would not, and I think that we have to make the findings for that, from what I understand. Then when we get down to the Arch Beach Heights lot combination findings, I don't believe that that they meet the findings. The encroachment of development into vacant lot areas that were not buildable sites results in the protection or enhancement of public and private views. I don't think that it enhances either one. And I think that, again, I think it's really more, the design is more consistent with the Portofino homes that are much larger and much further down the hill, not with Arch Beach Heights. I think that the impacts in the neighborhood, the streetscape, the private views, I think is excessive. And I think that it does impact environmentally sensitive areas, even though there's not high value habitat. I think that the precedent that it would set to combine pieces of 5 lots into a canyon that is enjoyed by both private and public views would not be appropriate. Let's see. Then again, it refers back to the general plan, and I don't think it's consistent with the general plan for the land use sections that I had brought out. And then when we get into the coastal development permit, Multi-Meadows Park is across, and I know it's not a park, but there's a lot of people in that area because there's a soccer field, there's the park, and then there's that extension along Balboa Avenue that is not developed, that even though there's not a specified trail, people walk it all the time, and there are a lot of public view impacts, I think, along that area. And I think I will stop about there, so.
Thank you, Debbie. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I agree with most of Debbie's comments. I have two particular focuses, but the general, I don't think this project, I mean, it's a beautiful project. I just don't think it goes there. And I agree with Debbie's comment on that. It's not neighborhood compatible. And I do think it has real view equity impacts. And then the land use elements, I'm not going to go over. I agree with Debbie's analysis on those. What I want to focus on is the Archbeach Heights specific plan. What you're doing is you're bringing in 3 lots that go down a hill, and you want a combination. That has a different rule than our normal design review. And the one I want to focus on is subdivision D1, the encroachment of development into the vacant lot areas that were not building sites result in protection or enhancement of public and private views. It's almost like you can't in a material way interfere with public views, or public or private views, when you do a lot split for what was undevelopable land, or a lot combination for what was undevelopable land. And whether we might have a debate about view equity, with the Muma's house on Balboa, this, I think, just says you can't do this. You've got to, if you're going to be getting a lot combination, at least get me approve it based upon the language of the Archbeach Heights specific plan, to get that benefit of being able to combine lots that were not building, were effectively not building sites, you can't impact views. Otherwise, you've got to stick to your buildable site. I think your sentiment about, building it into the hill, reducing the mass and scale and so forth, for it to be compatible with Archbeach Heights and also to be able to meet the requirements of the Archbeach Heights specific plan, you've got to significantly reduce the size and maybe bulk it up uphill and be observant of the views. The second thing is, there's other provisions, which is subdivision 2, the proposed development minimizes development-related impacts on the neighborhood and the streetscape. I think you've got a long way to go there. And then subdivision E says that the mass and scale of the project must be compatible with the neighborhood pattern of development. And this, I don't think is. So I have a real question whether this is the right house for that lot. The other problem I have is, I was a CEQA lawyer, and most CEQA projects residential projects don't involve CEQA. And when they do, it's come to us with a initial study, usually in a mitigated negative declaration. This project has me concerned whether there might be environmental impacts, whether the categorical exemptions apply. You're in a long existing canyon that is an environmental, has its own environmental, existence. And I would be very reluctant to find that an exemption applies. I think the special circumstances that includes exemption applying, apply here. Now, I've read the biological and I haven't read them in detail, but I did read your reports. And needless to say, I'm almost to the point of believing that an initial study is going to be required for this project, assuming it didn't have all the others, because there's so much potential for environmental impacts that these studies just don't, in my mind, as a matter of certainty or a matter of high level of certainty preclude. So I think you got some work on this one, but I see a real need potentially for an initial study in this project.
Thank you, Tom. MJ?
Sure, I'll go quickly. Thank you both, Debbie and Tom, for that drilling down into all the land use and the specifics. I'm sticking more with, and I knew that would be your sweet spot. I'm going to stick just more with it. If I look at it just from a home that's coming to us, that's in front of design review, how would I look at this? If all the lots were buildable and all the access was where it needed to be. As Debbie pointed out, access obviously presently is not fulfilled. So that stops it right there in some ways. But most importantly is the impact of view equity, and lot specifically the mass and scale of the home. I don't think it is consistent with the Arch Beach Heights plan and the homes along Tijuana there. There are some homes on Balboa that are larger, but in Tijuana specifically, that whole area, I mean, this is far oversized for that particular lot. You also mentioned that like the string lines could, or the story poles could be like kind of misguiding us. But as I looked at this a little bit more after you said that, I don't think that actually is accurate. And what might have been helpful, and maybe if you come back around again, is when you do a render, be great to do a render from the perspective of Balboa 874 specifically, and also the home above that. I'm sorry, I don't remember the young lady's name that had mentioned it. Just kind of seeing like because those story poles are deceiving. It is hard to get a sense of things sometimes and to know what's open and what's not. Also keeping in mind what might be, even though you might have decking, what's going on that decking. You also have some like slatted areas that, create a block, even though it's not an actual room. It's still an architectural accent that's going to obscure view opportunity. So I think view has certainly not been achieved here. And I think that's a really big thing. I think it's a beautiful house. It's just in the wrong place, and hoping that you can either downsize it to fit better in this canyon, which if scale is down, I think that the style of it could be acceptable, but the scale is just so large within the placement now. It's just not supportive in Arch Beach Heights. That gives you an idea. So not to be, I won't join. That's just sort of my big picture stuff.
Thank you, MJ. Lewis?
So far, I concur with my colleagues, from the environmental comments to just the privacy, the views, there's definitely some challenges with this site. Speaking positively, I do think there's some creativity that is, I can see there are some things that in the drawings that you're trying to be mindful to some of these components. But I think there's just, I think the starting point's a little rough because there's just too much excess with the mass and the volume. As I was alluding to in my questions, kind of the flying roof above the garage, it's not really necessary. It kind of creates a weird flare. I think the raised roof over the dining, that angled up is a sight line that that could be opened up for views, and better articulated with a better roof line, that would minimize some of this sizing. The decks following this full triangle, just to maximize the lot in whatever you've drawn out. I think I have some questions about the 25-foot water course kind of drawings in the topography, because the structure's in some of that. So does that trigger a variance? I think if I go further, I know the access isn't fully vetted at this point, but I think it is part of the design review criteria. And I think the public brings up a good comment that, does this comply with the county and state components to make it feasible? I'd like some elements of that studied for when this comes back and some of that analysis done. I also think a parking study would be kind of necessary, as we've seen projects up that have difficult access, but the turning points are too tight in the drawings. Like I think in just concept, being able to back out of the car, back out of your driveway, and then, you know, turn properly onto Tijuana so your car goes forward. I think you're making multiple turn points in the way this is drawn. So I'd like those studies to kind of prove those components are even feasible. Some of the terracing probably could be minimized, as some of those retaining walls are pretty significant. So maybe some more stair stepping. When it comes to the design, I do think more of the windows and the glazing needs to be reduced. There's a lot of open glass that would create a lot of protruding light and glare, light up the canyon that would be historically dark. To give me some more of that Horst architectural jewelry. I think on a positive note, I do kind of like the way you're shielding that lower balcony. But I do think those corners need to be kind of nipped and tucked, just not to overly accentuate the building into the canyon, because that's the biggest consideration for those views to be maintained is how does it fit in nip and tuck? You use the example of the Noria project, and it is a good project that demonstrates a real good feasibility of balancing these non-buildable lot portions. But I think their use of the non-buildable lot was more used for decking and exterior connection, whereas I think the house was maybe about 10% protruding into that of the overall square footage. So I'd like a little more comparable studies or review on where that kind of line was. Whereas I think on this project, you're probably closer to about 40% into those non-buildable spaces. And I'd just like to see where those kind of precedents in those examples really do mirror up. I think, you know, there is a project that can go here. It needs a little more creativity, more balancing of some of these impacts. But the needle really needs to be thread on this one to make it work. But I'm supportive of all the other comments my board members made, but I'm not supportive of it this evening. But I could see ways that it could work and could be supportive of a continuance.
Thank you, Louis. I will continue with my comments. I think fellow board members did a fantastic job elaborating all the elements. Lauren, I think this is a beautiful designed house. Unfortunately, I just don't think it is on the right lot as currently designed. So we'll have to make some modifications to address the view equity and tuck a few elements down and get it to, being that there are 2 hearings, you know, it's going to be tough. So I encourage the neighbors and you to get together and find ways and, you know, mitigate ways that the views can be addressed prior to coming to the next hearing. I think that's a necessity. And, you know, neighbors, please do welcome the applicant to your views and your concerns, and make the calls and get in touch with Lauren. She works with a local reputable architect, so I think that makes a difference. They're much more reachable. I also think that there is a project that does work on this site. To echo board member Lewis's comments, I think the first 2 to 3 lots that were on there are buildable. I think that the last 2 are going to be a little bit more difficult. I think there's a program in there that balances both the private and public views, but also gives you a better right to build than what's currently designed. I think there's a program in there that works on the first 3 lots while still preserving some of that upper neighborhood canyon between Balboa and Tijuana, and maybe carrying those lines through your property. I think doing that will enable, I can't speak for the other board members, but at least for myself, I feel a lot more comfortable carrying those lines through, because then you'll maintain some of the views for the homes on Balboa, while also preserving the canyon, which I think was discussed here as it pertains to the requirements for the Arch Beach Heights specific plan for lot combinations. So I think with those elements and the feedback we gave tonight, I think I'd be open to recommending for continuance if you're open to it, to a date certain, uncertain.
Based on comments I've heard, it sounds like we've got a lot of work to do. Predicated on that, obviously, the applicant needs to go back, work with the neighbors, revise the plans, resubmit to us. We need to reroute it internally, take a look at those revisions, maybe in light of the board's comments as to whether or not we even got the environmental review correct. Certainly
the
understand the
thing is-
comments were offered in the spirit of the design that's before us tonight. To the extent that the new project may change that, we'll have to properly evaluate that. I'll pause for Mr. Gibbs.
Yeah, real quick, when you look at that, one of the things that I'm suggesting strongly is you move it up back from, the canyon. The further back it goes, the less chance there is. But I also think you need to look at, particularly both the hydrology report and the geotech. Well, excuse me, I'm thinking of the biology. The hydrology and the biology reports, just to make sure that there's no potential here, because it's an awful big chunk of undeveloped, pristine canyon that's being pulled away. We don't normally see that.
No, I appreciate the comments and thank you for that.
And maybe just,
Go ahead, Board Member Weil.
and if this continuance is delayed, I think it'd just be a nice recommendation that the applicant team really kind of be mindful of some of these views as they work with the neighbors and reduce some of the staking that may not be necessary, or if full restaking is redone, take a look to be mindful and courteous neighbors with leaving those poles up for extended period of times.
Thanks, Louis. Yeah, I'd like to hear from the applicant briefly. Lauren, if you care to comment on an understanding of the comments here today. Do you feel like you have enough to put together a formal resubmittal and get this back in front of us? Or do you feel like you're going to need additional time to go back and?
I mean, we want to be conscious of the owner's timeline. We're going to work our hardest to get this back to you and work closely again with the neighbors. This owner is not a developer, it's a family that wants to be living here, and we're going to work to try and see that through. So our aim is in doing that as fast as possible.
Yeah, to that point, I think the recommendations in the biological report that were third-party reviewed, I think they're clear to me. I think we can get this back on next available, as long as the timing works.
So I would suggest that the absolute soonest would probably be October 22nd, but in order for that to happen, we need everything back in by September 2nd to us. That's awfully quick, in my opinion.
That's
given the
awfully quick.
comments that
Yeah, I think we can push that back.
The next available meeting would be November 12th, and I'd need everything back by September 23rd. That might possibly do it. Otherwise, you're looking at a December 10th date with a October 21st submittal date to staff.
Yeah, I think those second two dates make sense. Yeah, obviously, we want to hear from the applicant. Just knowing that that's the last hearing you're going to get from us. There won't be a continuance after that. So it's really got to be dialed in.
Yeah, understood. Then you're offering, I believe you said a November date.
November, December, or a date uncertain.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, I'd like to take the November date and check with Horst.
Okay, so that would be, you would return then on November 12th if it's acceptable to the
Keep
board?
in mind, if Horst needs more time, he'll request more time.
No,
I have every confidence Horst is going to do everything he can to get it approved on the 12th. So, and if he can't, he'll push it out. So I'm good with the 12th.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to make that motion, Tom?
Sure, be happy to. I move that the board continue item 5.7 for 854 Tijuana Street to November 12, 2026, to our meeting on November 12, 2026.
I'll second that.
Sarah, would you call the roll?
Board Member Coveney,
Yes.
Board Member Gibbs,
Yes.
Board Member Weil,
Yes.
Chair Pro Tem Neve,
Yes.
Chair Bauta.
Yes. Thank you. We'll continue, we'll end our regular order of business. We'll continue to agenda item 6 for other business. Bill, you touched on some stuff a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so thank you. So I don't need to go into more detail at this point in time, but just to let the board know that the city council did adopt the design review efficiency ordinance and other related updates. Staff will prepare a brief summary of those for you, either your next or the subsequent meeting, just to highlight some of those changes. We'll be happy to do that. Just to let you know, the ordinance did reduce the number of design review criteria that apply to projects from 16 down to 11. Most of those changes were things that were relatively duplicative within the ordinance. It also reduced the number of findings from 4 down to 2. So those changes will start to be reflected in your August 13th packet and going forward from then, but we'll bring back a brief overview of the project for you at a later date.
Awesome. Thanks, Bill.
Send us clean copies of that's.
I will be happy to forward clean copies of the ordinance to the board members. Thank you.
Any other business? Bill, on the notes, it says adjourn to.
It does. That is a typo.
Okay.
My apologies.
No worries.
Our next meeting will be August 13th, 2026 at 5 PM in these chambers.
All right.
Yes.
We're adjourned to August 13th. Thank you all. Have a